What's going on, traders? Welcome back to another day inside the market. Now, the only question is, what will happen today? Will we get some changes of tariffs? What happened in China? Of course, as China announces some retaliation in tariffs, we'll talk all about that and how it can affect the market. What's coming next? Find out right here on TTP Live. Let's get it started, traders. Let's take a look into the market. We'll take a look at today's playbook, the Sunrise Report. There's lots to talk about, a lot of earnings to get into. We'll talk PayPal, Spotify. We'll take a look at PepsiCo. And there's one that is a surprising one. Did you guys see Palantir just ripping towards 100? I'll tell you what, we'll talk all about different names right here. Let's get right into the action. It's TTP Live. Wants 200, baby. You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money.
It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at. What up out there, traders? How we doing? And like my man Michael Katz says all the time, we're going to aim that ship. We're here to make some money, ready to get after the market. Let's take a look at what's going on right now and what's happening. Like always, guys, we'll take a look. I'll put off some scanners out here. We'll be watching to see what we can find today. Of course, like always, you guys can check out everything that we do. If you're not following us on Twitter, you're missing out. So definitely follow us on X. And we'll see what we can come into today. See, maybe if I'm able to find a little bit of a penny stock rally here. VLCN already getting a little bit of a lift. This actually not looking too bad. I'm going to throw it up here, guys. We might take a trade right out the gates right now. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at this. Just recovered $4. I'd like to see it come right below $4 towards maybe 405 right now. It's already at the 429 here. So let's go ahead. VLCN looking good here. And it's a good time for it right now. So let's go ahead. Let's see if I can grab this thing. About 100 shares is what I'd like to get here. Let's see if I can get this. All right, let me look a little deeper in here. This is an auto manufacturer getting a lift off of a weird action here. And of course, the auto manufacturers are getting a little bit of a push today. Tesla kind of taking the lead there. That $4 recovery after the 480 spike seems really interesting for me now. It's already lifting there. Missed it, guys. I already missed it, guys. Literally started the show and I was looking at this one at $4. I was loving to get this one at $4. I start the show, of course, it already rips. But that's just how it goes sometimes, guys. I wanted to grab that one right there, but I wanted it closer towards 4. It's already 475, 480s, exactly where I wanted to sell it. Boom, would have been done and made the account. So got to take the stress off a little bit there, but should have just taken the trade there. Probably just gotten in and then told you guys about the trade versus me waiting here. And look at that. Now 555, 590s. Are you kidding me, man? Oh, that's a tough one, team. That's a tough one, guys. Another one that it seems like they always like to move exactly when I'm coming on the show. But hey, it's happened to me before, man. Hesitated there. Should have just maybe bought the 420s. Could have been done with the account already, guys. Smallest amount of share size right there. Risking about $20 on the 420s towards the $4 there. Could have got the money. Could have been done for the day, at least with that account. But hey, I'm going to try to keep it going, guys. Definitely made a mistake there and should have just taken the trade. But hey, it is what it is. Can't be worried about it. Just got to keep moving. We'll look for the next trade there. VLCN already a 30% mover called right here on TTP Live, of course. You can't get that anywhere else, guys. There's no one else catching these things that fast. I'll tell you that right now. All right, guys, we'll see what else other moves are moving out right there. Right now, I'm looking around to see if there's anything else that shows up to me on the scanners that makes sense for me. Right now, not too much there. I'm just still looking around here. We'll see what else is moving here. I always like to look at the volume too to make sure that we have enough volume. That one getting almost towards 1 million. And really, guys, what a trade there. Volcon would have been able to nail that. That's a crazy mover there already. In the last 15 minutes, up 24%. All right, guys, we'll take a look around into the market. We'll go to the playbook. We'll take a look at what's happening out there. There's a lot to talk about and a lot to take a look into. right now. Let's see what else is happening out there. All right, guys, let's go ahead. Let's get after it. You guys know where you're at. Let's go towards today's playbook. All right, guys, I got two playbooks that I want to kind of tell you guys about, and VLCN just keeps ripping, man. Oh, good Lord. I got to stop watching it. It's just going to cause FOMO, and definitely it's already FOMO. Now it's near $6. Definitely missed out on that one, but hey, just got to let it go, guys. Let's start talking about the playbook. Let's go to Boeing here, as Boeing is one that I'll be actually looking to see if we actually do a breakdown. A cut to the downside, as this was looking like it was doing a bull trap here on Tuesday. To me, classic bull trap, right? It's a nice kind of rectangle pattern here that it was breaking out of on that day. But where did the body close? The body closed right back into the pattern and gave you a fake out to that 188. Now I'm looking to see if we break down and head down towards this 173 level. And so that's kind of the level that I'd be pointing towards right now. This is 172. I'll put it at 173 just to make it clear as day. I can also make this a little bit thicker. We'll be looking to see if it can cut down through the 173. And why? Because I think tariffs will really destroy this company. And overall, I know that we did get some talk of tariffs coming down, but I'd also take a look at SPR on the downside, as I'm expecting to hear different tariffs also mentioned for what? For the EU and different actions like that. So don't forget, this tariff situation is not done by any means necessary. So we'll see what happens there. SPR, definitely Boeing, two stocks that I'd be looking on the downside. All right, let's go to an upside outlook. Let's go to a firm and why a firm could be getting a lift here. Well, one thing that I'd point to is already the MACD getting a nice little cross in the recent days. This crossed over on Monday, the 27th, and now starting to really get the move. It has gone a little sideways here, giving us the opportunity to see if we go back to Friday's high. 63.09 is the level that I'd give on a firm there. We'll see if we're able to start making our way right back up on a firm. This looks pretty good. And why would they be making a move right here? Well, let's just be honest, right? The tariffs are going to cause what? They're going to cause inflationary pressures, which will, of course, be passed down to the consumer. So prices will go up. That's what I expect to see. And as prices go up, what happens? Well, buy now, pay later becomes more attractive. So I'll be looking to see if a firm gets the lift here and starts to push through the high from Friday. Then we can go ahead and try to approach that 72. We'll see what happens with the firm. It's made a drastic move back, has made a nice little pullback after recent kind of lift. Let's see if it can go right back into that bullish stage here and make a push back towards 70. We'll see what happens with this one. Affirm and Boeing are my two watch on the playbook. Yesterday's watch included, of course, Tesla to the downside. That I could still see maybe getting a little bounce on the day. We'll see if it's able to hold the bounce, but definitely different stocks there that are looking good here. We'll see what else is moving out there, guys. Definitely smash the like. Deere yesterday to the downside. Nice trade there. It ended up breaking down eventually, but it started the day on the lows and pushed back. So today I'm looking to see if it takes out the 460 and continues down. GE, XLI, a bunch of areas in the industrial space that I can see struggling here, even though we're having somewhat of a bounce back day, at least for the time being. We'll see what happens out there, guys. VLCN, yeah, man. Scratching my head on that one, man. It's up there towards $6 now, guys. So definitely a little bit of a miss there. I'm not going to lie. Should have been able to nail that VLCN. And I was on top of it. It's just the show started right when I wanted to get it, man. All right, good morning, guys. Did you guys do a video yesterday? Yes, we did do a stream yesterday. Were you not able to find us, Channel Guy Trader? And if you weren't, let me know, because of course I'm always trying to make sure that we're always being able to be visible. And you guys out there on YouTube, let me know how you guys are finding us. Are you guys searching for us? Are you finding us on your homepage? All this information can help us get more shows to you every single day. All right, guys, we'll see what else is out there. See what's up out there, Aggie. How we doing? Eli, what's going on? Good morning to you guys. Let's get after it. And Lord PayPal, we'll talk a little bit about that one and why I think it's going down. A lot of people aren't talking about it, and I talked about it. And I'll tell you the truth, guys. I wanted to short here 87. I should have just shorted that 87. The only problem is the spread was massive on PayPal. And so what did I try to do? I tried to go looking for Square. Have you guys looked for Square lately? It's not called Square anymore. It's called XYZ or Block Inc. And you guys can see this going down right now. And why is it going down? Relationships, guys. It's so important to know relationships because you can attack that relationship and try to make some great profits, of course. Let's keep it going, guys. We'll see what else is out there. XYZ down there to 89. We'll look to see if it breaks down further. But why are these stocks going down, right? Well, we'll talk a little bit more about that in the Sunrise Report. Let's kick things off. We'll talk a little bit more about that. We'll get into different stocks that are having earnings today. You guys know where you're at. It's TTP. Let's kick it off with today's Sunrise Report. All right, traders, as China's firing back here at the U.S. tariffs with levies on coal, LNG, crude oil, and machinery. Effective on February 10th, it also announced export controls on critical minerals. It launched at antitrust probe into Google also, which could put some worry into Google, guys. I think Google was looking absolutely awesome technically now. This story could ruin that. While largely symbiotic, experts are saying that this marks the start of a new U.S.-China trade war. Meanwhile, Trump delaying tariffs on Canada and Mexico, but China getting no such break. So we'll see what happens today if this continues a downside action. And are we in the second trade war of the Trump administration? Of course, in his first presidency, we were still in that trade war mentality. Let's keep it going. Let's go to the high flyer of the day. Of course, Palantir, as it takes 100 and continues to hold right now, almost trying to make a new high here. I think this is one that could do a blow off top type of look where it makes a big move up right out the gates and then starts to get hit and pulled back today. But the numbers were good here. They skyrocketed 22% after the AI-powered beat EPS here at 14 cents versus an 11-cent expected. Revenues at 828 million versus a 776 million expected. The 25 outlook for U.S. commercial sales hit 1.08 billion. And AI Growth CEO Alex Karp called Palantir's AI push unlike anything. Yes. Unlike anything before, definitely the stock is up 340% in 2024. And now in the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. So Palantir making great leaps. And guys, I got to say, this is one that I called, but didn't make the money, guys. Didn't make all this cash. If you actually take a look at it, guys, I was playing it down here and I just ran to the cash too fast. And that happens. It's going to happen all the time, guys. It's bound to happen, right? And so in this case, I just maybe sold Palantir a little bit too early. If you guys know, I was on this really early on. I got this in 23s, ended up selling it towards the $30, and this thing ended up just continuing and continuing and continuing. Honestly, was I expecting this to happen? No, I don't think anyone was. And if they told you that, they're lying. They're straight up lying, guys. All right, let's go to the next one here. Let's go to Pfizer as their earnings are coming in today. And let's talk a little bit about what happened here. A little bit of a shakeup and a down move. We'll see if it's able to bounce here or not. Pfizer delivered strong Q4 earnings of 63 cents versus 46-cent estimate on EPS. Revenues at 17.76 here. Let's take a look at the chart here. You guys can see that crazy 63 cents here versus the 46-cent expected. Revenues at 17.76 versus the 17.36 billion expected. The key wins here for Pfizer are really on Paxlovid. Sales at 727 million, beat the expectation. Seagen cancer drug sales also up 915 million versus 132 million year over year. And then there's a heart drug that's up also 61% year over year. And 2025 weight loss drug entry should be coming in and activist pressure easing. So Pfizer starting to maybe turn things around. Could it be? Could it be? I don't know, man. This one has been so bad of a company. They're going to struggle. Now, I think what you do is you keep this on a monthly watch. A company like this that keeps struggling and struggling, get back through an actual positive looking pattern for me, and then I'll take a look at you. Right now, It's just a falling knife. So if you want to catch it, hey, go ahead, put the hands open, and we'll see if you can catch the knife. All right, let's go to another one here. Let's go to Pepsi, as Pepsi's earnings are definitely causing a disaster move right now on the monthlies and dailies, and it's just falling off the tape. What's going on here, guys? Does this have to do with the consumer? Things to be thinking about. Pepsi facing weak U.S. demand here. EPS at $1.96 versus $1.94. Revenues missed here at $27.78 billion versus a $27.89 billion expected. North America struggling a lot here. Snacks down 3%, beverages down 3%. Bright spots were that Gatorade gained market share. Baja Blast hit $1 billion in sales. Of course, that's the Mountain Dew action and a lot of sugar in that. But hey, it is what it is. I'll tell you one thing: hit $1 billion in sales. That's the only bright side in the North America struggles. But I think this is going to continue to show struggle as the consumer is slowed down in certain areas, and they just don't want to buy $3 Pepsis at 20 ounces. It's just too expensive. Spotify is the last one we'll talk about. The best one also, I think, of a continued trend higher. I mean, this thing went all the way back down in 2023 below $100 and now is trading at $600. Guys, absolutely ridiculous. So we'll see what happens here in Spotify if it starts to make that move back through the 600 spot. But man, what a move there in Spotify, and just showing the strength in these kind of subscription names. EPS at $1.76, and this is in euros at $1.82. So 182 coming in on the euro side of EPS. Revenues beat the expectation. User growth is what really is important here. Monthly active users at 675 million, plus 12% year over year. The biggest Q4 jump ever. And so premium subscribers is also a big watch for Spotify. That's up 11% year over year at 263 million, and a 25 outlook of Q1 monthly active users to hit 678 million. CEO Daniel Elk really bullish here in his outlook. We'll see what happens here after a 145% rally in the past year. Is it still a buy? Things to be asking. All right, the last one here that we'll talk about is GM and Ford getting a little bit of a bounce yesterday after, of course, taking a hit with the tariff situation. Tesla, the same thing. That's what happened there, guys. So now we need to be watching to see what happens here as what things will be moving forward. Automakers were initially hit hard. Will they get hit again? All things to be thinking about. I think in the long run, yes, they do take a hit again. So would I be playing these on the upside? Definitely not. Neither of them. Even Tesla, I just don't feel it can maybe get back to even 400 right now, maybe 390s, but this is going to struggle. And a lot of it on margins. Why? Because it needs to be about FSD, and it needs to be about what's going in the robo-taxis. It needs to be about robotics. If there's not talk of that or something coming instantly or imminently, well, guess what? Tesla will struggle. That's just how I see it. We'll see what happens out there, guys. Let's keep it going. You guys know where you're at. It's TTP Live. We'll get into some trading action. It's going great out there right now. I got to say, I'm still kicking myself a little bit. I got to get over it. But, man, that VLCN, seeing it at 420. And right here, guys, right there, was watching it right here when I joined in. Now look at it, guys. It's crazy. This should have been the one that got me the account today. I'm a little frustrated that I didn't take that trade. But, hey, it is what it is. When you start the show, it's so hard for me to take a trade because the truth is then all of a sudden I'm not even talking about the playbook. I'm not talking about the sunrise report. I'm just taking the stream by hostage just to trade my Volcom stock there. But as you guys can see, that thing's already made the lift. It went to 679. So essentially when we came on, talked about it at 420 from the high. That is a 62% move. Wow. Definitely should have nailed that one. All right, guys, but hey, it is what it is. I'll shake it, guys. Yesterday did take a little bit of a hit. let's talk really quickly about my account, and then we'll go ahead and start the show. We'll bring Michael on and talk about some different action out there. But down about like $52 yesterday, something like that, pretty close to that. You guys can see it here. Took the hit yesterday in the small account. We'll see if I'm able to bounce back at 1250, 12 right now, pretty much $100 away. You guys can see it, 1300 down to the 1250. And I keep it straight with you guys, 50-50 loss. So I tried to keep it, within about 40 to 50 bucks. Been winning on average about like 89 to 100 on these and losing about 50. Let's see if we're able to bounce back today, guys. We'll see what happens. Risk and ratio still in good play at 1.4. Success ratio at 46%, yet still in the green. Got to keep battling here to just get one more little bounce up, and we'll be able to grab that account. Let's keep it going. Yesterday was a good, account day for my other account. Like always, guys, I have a 2 account. I have the super buying. I have the very limited. I like to take the penny stock names like Volcon in that small one. And then I have my other one, my main account, where I take some kind of higher quality plays. Yesterday, not bad of a play on this one. Of course, you guys watched me make the trade, and that was on WPM, right? That was on WPM. And you guys will see here, I actually got stopped out on the first trade, $36, and then was able to get back in and go for it again and make 208. So, hey, really not mad about that one. Not a bad trade at all. Got to keep it going. But one thing that you'll see here is that the balance, right? Got to keep it going. It's at 23.46. There's still a long way to get there. We'll see if we're able to get to the 3,150, at least less than 1,000. What I'm trying to do is get it within less than 500 for this week, and then we'll just keep riding it up. Let's go, guys. All right, that's going to do it for my outlook, of course, into my accounts, of course, and you guys yourself. If you're not checking out the buying power, what are you waiting for? Like always, guys, Trade the Pool has packages that are limited and will be taken out at some point. So I think you definitely look into these before they run out. Like always, guys, check out Trade the Pool. Let's go ahead and bring on the man himself, Michael Noss. We'll take a look into the market. We'll see what's going on with China tariffs, how he thinks about it. And if you guys have a stock or a question for Michael, throw it up in the chat. Let's get this chat buzzing. And let's see, are you guys bullish on the day or bearish? Throw a 1 if you're bullish. Throw a 2 if you're bearish. Let's go ahead. Let's bring on Michael. What's going on? How we doing?
Oh, we're doing fantastic. Look, all the tariffs are over already. It's back to, what do you think, new all-time highs today or tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's when I come in with my the bear shoes are in here today, Michael. I'm coming into the cave, man. And there's a reason why. A lot of times I don't like to be in the bear tune when the bears are out yelling. But now that the bulls are out here telling us, but hold on, did you see those key reversals yesterday? Well, yes, there was technical key reversals. I think we can all agree on that, right? Nice little moves down that really quickly swept back all that bearish action and actually went green, right? Now my question is the pain trade on the bulls?
It could be, right? And
Right.
Remember, we did this I did this presentation probably a couple weeks ago. For those who missed it, though, we are in year 3 of a bull market, and year 3 of a bull market is generally a choppy mess. And
Yeah,
it makes sense. You can't have 20% year over year growth forever. At some point, you need to pull back or consolidate, right? And then we hope it's consolidation, because you can either deal with overbought conditions through some sort of bear market, or you can just go nowhere for a year. And generally speaking, year 3 of a bull market, you don't go anywhere for a year. So if I were to bet, that's what I think is going to happen all year. And I think a lot of that's demonstrated if we look here on the SPY. We hit new highs and then we sell off. We hit new lows and then we rally. And really, we are smack dab in the middle of this range. So it continues to be a buy the dip, sell the rip type market, not one that you want to get too heavy involved on the trend one side or another. You just want to take advantage, right? Take your money, go. Have a trade, have a plan, and get back out. With a lot of these, you can see with quantum computing names, they were great for a while, then they sold off. They're probably done for a bit, and vice versa. So you'll continue to see new themes pop up. Same thing with Bitcoin. Right?
Dude, I gotta interrupt you a little bit here because I found a stock that we're talking themes, and I'm all about that. This one's gonna blow your mind, man.
What's this?
So a lot of times you catch a name that just wants to
Quantum.
jump on the theme. This one said, you know what? I've seen these stocks go crazy, the bio farms and the biotechs. Well, you know what? Why don't we name our company Quantum Biotech, man?
Then you get both sides, right?
You get
Guaranteed
both
triple.
sides of the theme, bro.
The
Literally, I'm
remember
not even gonna lie, man. It just brought a tear to my eye. That's how bad it is. It's like you
Well, do
can't
you
make this
remember
stuff up.
Long Island blockchain way back in
Yes,
the day?
exactly.
Right, yeah. For those
Perfect example, man.
for
And then
those who don't
I think it
know,
was like Kodiak that was a picture company, and then they became a biotech or something.
yeah, they were gonna make vaccines or something. Yeah, for those who don't know about Long
Yeah,
Island
man.
blockchain, it was what 2018, the original crypto
Woo-hoo.
pump and dump, and
Yeah.
this company that made iced tea, was like, okay, we're going to change our name to, instead of Long Island Iced Tea, we're going to name ourselves Long Island Blockchain. And the company did
Blockchain.
5x or something and then is bankrupt now. So,
Oh
yeah,
man. So if
not
you're
popular on themes.
wondering if quantum names are going to move today, I'd keep an eye out on this because it could be that kind of leading factor that actually draws the attention back to those names, right? And so who knows what's going on there, but hey, keep it on the radar out there, guys. Some quantum names, seeing if maybe one runner can cause some attention to go to it, right?
Mhm.
That happens all the time because they see it, and then what are they going to do? The same thing that I did. They put it into their chart, right? And they read quantum. The first thing they think, oh, will the other quantum names move?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's important to note that when you're in a range bound market, I got Bitcoin here just to show that we are still stuck in a range. That's how you get your alpha in range bound markets. You don't get your alpha playing your Nvidias and all of that. When Nvidia was the theme, it was the great thing to trade. I know a lot of people made a lot of money solely trading semis. Then, generally speaking, you want to move on, right? When the theme's over, when the dance ends, you want to make sure that you're out. And you saw it in the SPY. Here it is in Bitcoin. We are just range bound on the overall market. So I think it's one of those things you have to quickly hop from sector to sector to sector, theme to theme to theme. Try to get going on what you think is going to end up moving. So, we're looking at the heat map here and just what's up on the day. Most things, which is great. That's generally what you want to see is more up than down, and we can see a lot of that with RSP. We have turn this on. So we have the SPY about in the middle of its range. RSP is holding on okay. Most sectors are still up from yesterday's close here in the morning. We have China actually doing very well. KWeb and FXI showing 2% gains, which is great. Talk my own book here a little bit. I own a whole bunch, an irresponsible amount of Chinese names, and psychedelics continue to push. I actually figured out what was going on. I read that RFK's confirmation hearing not hearing, vote is today. So that's what's going on.
The rumor mill is doing well there. And of course, he's a believer in alternative medicines, and I think
Yep.
that is something that is definitely something to watch, right?
Right.
Hey, good find there, Mike.
Yeah, I just went on StockTwits and just looked at these MindMed and these different companies and said, hey, what's going
Dude,
on? And
it's
that,
it's so important, guys. The information's out there, right? You
yeah,
just have to go searching, right? Like, and
yeah,
sometimes, like, forums and stuff like that can just at least give you a glimpse of what you need to actually go research, right? So
yeah.
hey,
And we were talking about this yesterday. And the reason we were talking about it is that even when the market was looking ugly in the morning before it recovered nicely, this is yesterday's candle, psychedelic sectors was gapping up and ripping. So there had to have been some sort of news catalyst. I guess that's what it is. Now, what's really interesting, I'll see if I can find it. And I'm getting as a quant, I'm getting so interested in these betting markets. I
mm-hmm.
think there's going to be definitely, and I think what really woke me up to it is a lot of the election stuff. They predicted very, very early on um, who will win, and then they predicted very
Yeah,
early on, and they were able to pretty much nail it 100%. Seeing if I can find it here. Yeah, so this is bring in the poly market for whether or not he will get the vote. And there's a way to remove. I did it on my phone this morning. There's a way to remove everyone else. But if you look at last night, there was this big spike that happened here from like 70% to 90% that happened overnight to say that there was a good chance that he would be confirmed in. So I think
I
that's kind of
agree.
what happened is the psychedelic market is moving with the probability. So you can see that on poly market, but just something I wanted to bring up because I think that's something that we can look at going forward. So for example, if there's a poly market that has anything to do with quantum computers, that might be something that you watch if you're trading quantum computers. So for example, when will the first actual quantum computer launch? If you start to see a tick up in that market, it's just another place that people are putting their money to take bets on themes, right? So this is just a place where they're seeing that and they're saying, okay, there's someone stepped in and took a large bet that he will win this confirmation vote today, and I think that's what we're seeing in the psychedelic markets. But to the technicals of it, this is starting to look really, really interesting on PSIL. Ignore this big crazy spike back here. This is drug. It's now weighted itself. So I don't know if anyone remembers that, but that drug stock that went from like $1 to $30 out of the blue.
Drug, literally.
Yeah,
It's
and
actually starting to turn a little bit. I think they might
it,
help it
yeah,
out.
it doesn't look bad.
It
So and
doesn't
well,
look bad, you know?
it's going to move with this ETF, right? So this is a great
Yeah.
ETF to track the sector. And look, we get a little potential inverse head and shoulders here. The line that we've hit a few times and rejected at is about $14. We're at 13.75 now. So if we start to see some movement today, the reason again I notice, I highly recommend people put together something like this themselves. You just quickly see what's at the top, what's at the bottom. Is there any themes today? It seems like this is a very risk-on type environment when you see psychedelics, China, and ARK as the top couple names. People they're feeling good that they want to take bets on things. So uranium has also been showing up here. So I want to go to NLR, which again, this is the ETF that expresses a lot of those different
Hmm.
small nuclear reactors and large nuclear reactors, a lot of different things inside of NLR. We're still stuck within a range, but if we look at just uranium this morning, which was on the low end of its range, it's moving up a little bit here. So we may
Yeah.
be against this support level. So for us, again, we do these broad level sectors, and then you kind of decide where you are in the risk curve. If you're someone who's very low in the risk curve, take a look at a quad U, so U.
Mhm.
You could take a look at CCJ, right? Some of these bigger nuclear names. If
Yeah.
you're a little bit more speculative, right? Take a look at your NNEs, your OKLOs, your SMRs.
What do you think
Those,
about this one? LEU is part of the
mm,
NLR, and I think this one has a nice gap to fill on the
that's
upside.
nice looking, and yeah, nice
Um,
looking long term chart here.
yeah, and then a lot of times I've been seeing a lot of gap fills lately, right? And so this company got hit on the looks like Monday the 27th. I got to see if it was an earnings,
Mm,
but it just seems to me like a classic kind of like cut down and then just bring it
nope,
right back.
yeah, it
So
wasn't earnings. So earnings we
it
actually have in
wasn't
a
all
few
right.
days.
So we'll
Yeah,
take a look
so
at that. See what if maybe could affected it. But hey, what I like is it was leading right before that. It was like if I don't have that price action, right? Like if I almost boxed that out, I would see this as a trend line approach that broke out, was starting to break to the upside near the high, like maybe 52-week high, right?
mhm.
And then just ran into a gap down, right? And so bulls are caught. They're trying to get it back towards that level. Can they maybe just fill the gap? Right. And so it's not a bad one to maybe take a look at.
On a nice looking, right, call it a flag or a pennant or whatever it is, but most importantly, it's holding this massive move it had from $30 all the way up to 100. It happened
Yeah.
here pretty much in a straight line. And when they pull every time they've pulled it back into this $60 range, which is the breakout level, it's been holding. So it looks good. A
Yeah.
lot of it's going to move with the sector, with NLR, with URA, but things are looking good.
I like it. I like it, man. This is definitely one to look at. Got to keep adding the trade talk, keep the trade ideas. And if you guys always in the chat, guys, you guys are tuning in on us and you guys hear that we're working through some trade ideas, feel free to drop in, right? Something that you're looking at, right? Maybe it's a stock that we're missing. Maybe it's an area we're missing. don't forget, we're a team together, guys. We got to be trying to help each other, especially catch what's moving. It's not about telling each other how to trade, but if we can just catch what's moving and be on the right stocks, that is always going to give us more probability to get into the green, right? That's all we're looking for. It's a mathematical probability.
Yeah, so then the last kind of sector, so we have psychedelics, we have uranium and small nuclear reactors, and we got China, right? So maybe time to
Yeah.
look at BABA, things like this, where we're starting to not only did we pull back and then break through this anchored VWAP, and we've been holding this level for a long time, and we're gapping up and we're moving a little bit today. So I think this is one of those things that now that the whole tariff war is at least the emperor's wearing no clothes, for lack of a better term. A lot of I think a lot of people were very worried that these tariffs would be a permanent thing. um Anyone who traded in 2016, no, it's just a negotiation tactic, right? It's, hey, I'm going to tariff you now, come to my house, let's work on a deal and figure it out. So now that that's happened, I think this is good news for China, right? So again, talking my book, I always want to say I own a whole bunch of different names, but now it's one of those same things where you got to figure out where you want to live on the risk scale, because a lot of it will move with FXI. But like Baba, right? Baba's a nice thick name to play. There's a lot of liquidity there. That's a good one. JD.com is a nice, good name with a lot of liquidity. TME is something. This is one that I own a bunch of. Just I love this pattern on the longer term chart here. It's a nice looking cup and handle. So find your favorite China name, right? You can go to Neo
Yeah.
maybe and take a look at those. What Xpeng, XPEV. There's so right. Grab a list. Say here's all the Chinese names out there. This is what I'm going to play. If I end up liking those sectors. Those are the main three ones. Of course, we had the Palantir earnings, HIMS, all that kind of stuff. Looks great. But the three main sectors I see for today is psychedelics, China, and uranium.
Definitely, I like those areas to look at, and definitely the China is it's not slowing down by any time. So definitely keep that on the radar. We'll see what happens towards the open, guys. It's 9:17 here. Spy hanging on by a thread. What will happen today, guys? I mean, really, I mean, when you think about it, for the action yesterday, I thought we would maybe come in and see the SPY like higher than 600. It's back down to 597. Yet the Bulls are singing that everything went back because of a 1 month pushback. I think today is a perfect day where it's setting up disaster for the Bulls. Even though, I'm still feeling like this market is still trying to rip up to the upside. So I think it's one of those areas where we're just at that uncertainty moment. Now I think it's a very important day, because back through 600 on the SPY, I think, yeah, you have the Bulls like really kind of starting to take control. But back, let's say if we're at 595 in close today, I start being a little bit more concerned. Longer term kind of price action, we start to break back down, and it starts not looking too good, especially if we're back down in the 590.
Yeah, and if we take a look here, so this is just the SPY we have, and we talked about this yesterday, and the importance, and this is something I picked up from my trip to New York, the importance of the 2-day VWAP. So the VWAP that includes today and the prior day as, again, an average price. Especially yesterday was such an important day with so many, with the gap down, the world was going to end, everything is bad, and then just ripped off that news. The 2-day VWAP is right where we opened up this morning. We've been struggling back and forth through this zone. So for me, this is kind of the do or die area, and that's 596.50. So if we lose that, then we're saying, okay, the average person who bought yesterday is starting to lose money. That gets a little bit concerning to me as well. And then also, the average bull, right, is losing money, but the average bear is making money. So it could be a moment where they really start leaning on the shorts from the short term point of view, right? Long term point of view, we are just kind of hard stuck in the middle of this range. I think that's absolutely fine. But when it comes to this shorter term point of view, again, that 596.50, that's kind of your midpoint. I think that's a super important level when it comes to the 2-day VWAP. Speaking of this whole 2-day VWAP play, um, I did get dinged in my trial account. I need to use that position sizer a little bit more. I took way too big on Palantir, but I'm going to look for this same kind of play here on Palantir, where we have, this is the VWAP from today, from the open of the pre-market action, and that's sitting right under price here at 102. And then the 2-day VWAP's all the way down at $88, which is before we had this crazy breakout. So again, the plays that I'm looking for are a break of that first VWAP all the way down to the bottom. You know, on top of the algos, like things like Peloton yesterday, that was a pretty decent trade, and that kind of thing. I'm looking at again these gappers that are going to potentially fade. So if we lose kind of 102 on Palantir, I'm going to look to take a short. I don't think I'll have the guts to hold to $88. This will probably move up quite a bit once volume starts coming in, which is the benefit of VWAP. It's not just a time based thing, it's a time and volume based thing. So as the market opens up and then more institutional volume comes in, this will probably be hanging out in the 90s. So see if we can get a break of 102 into the mid 90s. I think that would be kind of what I'm looking to have set up today.
Doesn't look bad at all. I think we'll have to just wait and see, right, guys? Let's catch some comments in the chat, see what you guys are looking at out there. I'm continuing to publish some trade ideas on something that we're going to be filling you guys in very shortly. So continue, guys, trying to expand out there. We got a couple of 1s and 2s, so it seems like the chat's also like, you know, on both sides of the things. Hymns watching, says Kevin. Not a bad one to watch. I'll tell you one thing. I recently saw a commercial for Hims on TV, and I'm starting to realize, I mean, there's already been commercials, but they're really spending the money. And that tells me something, right? And this thing has been completely taken off. A lot of people were watching this in early January, especially when they kind of the mentality of course, the new kind of the changeover with JFK Jr., right? RFK Jr. And so I think that this is one of those that all retail has been watching, and they've been right. So I think you continue to watch this, and I think this is just telling us kind of the move that's happening in healthcare overall, where there's actual opportunities for new companies to gain market share and the big boys to lose market share, right? Yeah. And so I think that's what you got to be looking for, and continuing to look for companies on the upcoming like Hims. Just in the space overall, you guys can keep looking. I got to find some competitors that are similar to Hims that are maybe out there that maybe you just don't even know are getting the lift right now, but an area to watch.
Yeah, I think anything, what's it, Planet Fitness, PLNT, is that going to be a RFK stock as well? But yeah, anything that is, you know, big cap tech, we know he's, or big cap pharma, we know he's not a fan of. We know he's a fan of more of these larger ones. Also, I've seen some talk about maybe grabbing some farmers out there and shorting those, because if he's going to demand higher health standards and this type of stuff, then it's going to probably eat into overall profits. Also, he's talked about changing subsidies from, you know, high fructose corn syrup and then into cane sugar or stuff like this. So basically just study kind of his platform and then say, okay, you know, of this, what do I think is going to perform well? What do I think is going to perform poorly? The only talk I've really heard of that makes the most sense to me, again, is psychedelics, because he's been such a proponent of that, as opposed to SSRIs and things for mental health. And these are something that is very close. Like, so in my research last night when I was reading through this, I guess MindMed has already dosed, and it's the first one to do it, dosed its phase 3 patients with their version for massive depressive disorder and anti-anxiety disorder. So that could be, and you know, we're talking both sides, right? So if he gets confirmed, could be a nice little pop. But also if he doesn't, right, we said the poly market, and this is one thing that I think is important to know the odds, right? They're saying we're an 85% chance. So the whole world thinks that this confirmation vote will go good. So I would make this list and not only look to trade the list, but watch if he doesn't get confirmed, if it comes out and it's a vote of no, where 85% of the world thinks he will, then take all of these lists and all of these things inside of this basket that you can build, psychedelics, smaller pharma companies, you know, farmers and all this, and then just flip it, right? Because if everybody is buying in anticipation of this potential event that they've got, they think is going to go well, if it doesn't, I mean, look out. So
Yeah, I'm looking around. I was trying to find some companies like that that could kind of be in the similar space. There's only really one that I found that was very similar, but it's been a dog, which is a Good RX Holdings, similar platform,
RXRX,
GDRX. Uh,
GDRX.
just
Ooh,
trying to look
yeah.
into it, right? Yeah, really ugly. But
Mm.
hey, you never know, right? It could be the kind of that leader to laggard trade, right? And so in this case, what I do, at least if I'm looking into a theme, right? I establish the theme, right? Now I look into some different players. Now the trend has to change, right? And I don't go in early. I wait till the trend start to change and show me what maybe some buying to stack actually start stepping in, right? If you see this is lowering on volume, not gaining on volume. Of course, there was a recent price action to the downside. So start to show me a bullish pattern on the
Hmm.
monthly and the weekly, and then start to show me some volume that wants to come in here, and I can take a look at it. And it should run with him. So if Hims is doing this and that, like if Hims is ripping and this is not doing it, maybe it's just not the play to play side by side, right? But this is how you find like a theme, some one stock that's bringing in a theme, and you go looking and you could maybe find the next player.
Well, yeah, and with GDRX, look at the lows that I've drawn out here. It's like $4. So we're at 475 or so now. If you think a positive catalyst is coming, again, my mentor always used to call these basement window trades. Like, hey, if you're going to jump out the window, might as well be the basement window. So at least if you're kind of bottom fishing something like this, you know right where you're wrong. So if you
Yeah.
like it, you pick some up around right $5. If we end up breaking these highs, that's sitting around $5. Your stop's going around $4. You can size that fairly easily, very, very easily, right? If you're looking to do $1,000, or then you buy 1,000 shares, right? You know what your risk is. Then if you're right, and even we get back to these highs, if you're just playing this range, that's $4. So there's your 4-to-1 risk reward ratio. Now it's not going to do that in a straight line, but if you think there's a bottom coming in a name like this, that could be an easy way to play it. Same with, right, if you look at some of these psychedelic type companies, a lot of these aren't looking very good, right? We have
Yeah.
MindMed's the one that's holding up the most, but right here you've got a nice level on this CYBN. I would say the same thing. You know where you're wrong. You're probably wrong under $8, sitting at about 10. So you say, okay, I'm risking $2. Do I think I could make 4? That's 14. That's just right here. So that's fairly, that's not a outrageous claim. There's your 2-to-1. And as long as you can you can look at the chart and you can reasonably foresee getting a 2-to-1, then I think you can take the trade as long as you got the liquidity to get out, where your stop loss is, take a shot. So yeah, I've made a big list of this kind of stuff and I'm waiting to see. I don't know exactly when it's going to happen. I'm going to research that now, but if he gets confirmed, could be a nice little pop on them. If he doesn't, I think, because that's the real thing. That's why I'm always looking again at these betting markets, because now I know people think there's an 85% chance, that pretty much a 1 in 10 chance that he doesn't get confirmed. So that to me is the interesting event. If the thing happens that everyone thinks it's going to happen, that's fine, and there might be a move just off the relief of that. But what's very interesting is what doesn't happen when they think it's going to happen. That's what's really, really interesting to me.
So I found an interesting connection, right? At the end of the day, it's always going to be the theme, right? So the theme really is at the end of the day just a D2C push in healthcare, right? And so Pfizer, Eli Lilly is doing it. That's essentially what Hims is, right? A direct to consumer ability to get prescriptions, right?
Mhm.
And so the up and coming company really is Upscript Health. That's who's helping Pfizer with their Pfizer for All platform and things like that, right? And so that's something just to think about in the long run. This is the move, probably, right? Instead of kind of like these doctors kind of giving out all these prescriptions and things like that and having to go places. What do people want? They want convenience, right? They want to be able to connect with an online service, get the prescription sent to their house, and not have to leave the house, right? So D2C is something definitely to pay attention to. Another thing might be paying attention to Pfizer's D2C to see if they're able to actually accomplish their tasks that they want and maybe actually turn around the company. Of course, Pfizer coming in with some earnings today. How do you see that chart, man? I've tried to call the bottom on this chart too many times. So I've gotten to the point where I think it's just dead. It's just dead. So what do you think, at
Uh,
least on Pfizer?
when enough bears say that, right? That's usually the end. Like when everyone gives up buying it, that's usually the bottom, right? Just like if everyone gives up shorting it,
Love
that's
it.
gonna
Love it.
be the top. So no, it's again one of those. This whole sector has just been completely beat up, and one of the main reasons for it is interest rates. At the end of the day, it seems like the whole world always comes back to interest rates. If you are
Yep.
Apple, you love high interest rates. You have so much cash, you don't know what to do with it. So, high interest rates, you're making money on your cash, you're doing great. When it comes to pharma and these biopharmas, from Moderna to Pfizer to all these different names, what you're always doing is you're spending a whole lot of money in hopes that you discover a drug that you can then sell and make a bunch of money in the future. So, these guys hate high interest rates because they don't get to keep that cash and make a whole bunch of money on it. They're instead generally using their cash to fund research, and they're going into debt to fund research and all of these different things. So a lot of these look the same. So Pfizer, again, another one of these basement window style trades. The low of here is 24. So you're risking $2. If you think in the future you'll end up doing well, that's fine. This is something where if I was a smarter man, I'd probably look at like put spreads or something like that, where you could make a little bit income against these lows. A risk reversal is a trade that I put on sometimes where you sell puts to buy calls, and you do that for like a zero kind of cost, so that because the problem with a lot of these low bases, you don't know how long they're going to take. Sometimes they can take months. In this case, we're now over well over a year that this thing's been in this low base. So that's what you kind of see, or you just wait for the breakout. But XBI is always a good one, or so there's another one, IBB. These are both biotech ETFs. These are good ways to play them as well, where IBB has a pretty prominent level here at 138. So if you think a lot of these names are going to move higher, then you could go through those as well. But problem with that is I think you have the Ozempic plays, which may underperform if we have this confirmation hearing. Then you have some of these smaller type plays that might overperform. So it's one of those where, uh, yeah, we don't really know which side is going to win. But when it does, you're going to get some type of a move on this. So it's one of those times where it makes sense to really look at the weighting of these ETFs to make sure that you're doing something that makes sense. But for Pfizer, I kind of like it, just as a you're just taking a shot at these lows. You understand your risk, and then you got to understand that your money's going to be probably tied up for a little bit down here, because quite often you don't have these things sell off, find a base, and then rip. They can take time to kind of digest these base and keep going. But maybe some option selling or something like that.
All come already in a halt, guys. That was one this morning, man. There's nothing like seeing the stock move right when you start the stream, Michael. I missed that one, but it was an absolute
Oh,
monster.
Falcom. Yeah.
Yeah, this is an auto manufacturer, just moving, I think, just based on the relief of the tariffs and trying to push it.
Mhm.
QNTM trying to get the lift here through 6, guys. I think this is one to watch today, maybe for some scalping action, but it's moving fast and wide, about 20 to 30 cents at some points. So just be careful out there. This is definitely trying to trap traders just from the name itself. I'm going to be looking at it, but it's definitely one of the hardest trades right now to look at. I'm also looking into the space. I'm looking for a GM short at 48. I already have the order out there. I'm just trying to get it to there. We'll see if we can get it.
Yeah, and again, I'm watching my trade plan here on Palantir, looking for a couple minute close. We are under VWAP, but I'm just waiting for the first few minutes here to digest if we can get a close under VWAP there. I'm going to take a short stop just over the pre-market high, and then targeting whatever this 2-day VWAP ends up being. Again, just playing with these, learning this new style to potentially, if it ends up working well, uh, take something and automate it a little bit better, right? That's how, again, you guys are watching me play with these systems, trying to figure out which ones make the most sense, and then see if I can automate those away. So that ends up being a 2-to-1 risk reward as where the VWAP is right now. If I end up taking this low of the day, my stop goes over the high. It's like 2.13 or about a 2-to-1 risk reward. So another thing that's, again, we've mentioned this before, is in a lot of platforms, including the one from Trade the Pool, is just drawing out your potential trade, just so you can kind of visualize it and say, okay, this is my entry, this is my exit. I think it helps a little bit with discipline, just to say, I know where I'm getting in, I know where I'm getting out, I know the rules behind all of these things as well. TEM is another one that I'm watching. This is the Nancy Pelosi name that had a big rip in the after hours, and now is just fighting this 2-day VWAP. So these are the two names that I'm focused on for a potential fade. Nothing really gapping down that hit my eye too much, but these two gap ups are super interesting to me.
All right, guys, just got my first entry there in a GM short at 48.23. Let me see. No, 48.03 there. So looking to add maybe here at the 48. Just rejected that 48. I had an order out at like 48.20s to add. I'm trying to add again at 48 here. I gave it a pretty much like a ladder approach there back to the next resistance, just in case I got some spread ranging here out. So short GM here just to get it right back down towards the low. And now let's see what happens, right? This is just a fade off the open, down action. Now looking for it to fade right back off of it. Let's see what happens here.
Is this the account you're close on?
No,
Or is that
not the
the big
account. Not the account. This is the other
boy?
one. This is the one I'm up at 2,498.
Yeah, I see comment about RGTI. So
Yeah.
RGTI, super interesting here. Had a nice little rip right off the open. So for my potential play, that would be what I'd be looking for, is a short back under VWAP. But actually, as much as I've been dogging on these quantum computer stocks for a while, it's a nice looking base here on the daily. I need to there right here. Very interesting on this Rigetti. So one thing that we've noted is this VWAP is the VWAP before Jensen Huang came and just kind of snapped the whole industry away. So now it means the average participant, if you started buying at the worst possible price, is doing okay. So what I would just look to do is watch this base right here and note a couple things about this base. If you zoom in, a lot of topping tails in this base, showing that, early in the day you get these pushes up, and then sellers come in and they work it back down. And that's happened a few times in this base. So for me, it's about, okay, maybe on an intraday basis, can we hold above this level? Can we get in and hold in this level? If we can, then it could be a nice little breakout on these names. My stop on something like this for a more longer term trade would be under this 1150-ish area. So that'd be this anchored VWAP from this all-time highs. That's a wide stop, right? That's $15 to 1150 percentage basis. That's a really wide stop, but that's okay. You just size that accordingly. From a day trading point of view, again, we just got to see what develops here off the open. But you're above the pre-market high, you're above VWAP. There's really nothing here that's saying that's that it's the end of days.
I'm liking the Boeing short here. I'm already short on GM here, but Boeing short was on my radar here. So I'm trying to grab that too here. Let's see if I can grab it.
SPY just range bound, right? I'm going to do the same thing that I did here yesterday, just to kind of make our lives super simple. You just grab a line, you say, okay, this line right here, that's your pre-market high.
Trying to get short Boeing here. Orders out.
And then there's your pre-market low. So as long as we're inside this range, there's not really too much to do as the market kind of decides itself. If we end up breaking the pre-market high, then, and we can hold, maybe a bit of a bullish day. But remember what happened yesterday, where we broke the pre-market low. It looked like everything was doom and gloom, and then one tweet came out and just reversed it. So we need to understand that that's the world that we're in right now, is that we need to always be fast on our feet when it comes to these things, because they can reverse really, really quickly.
I agree, man. And this is that type of day where whipsaws probably can happen. Qs are ripping way stronger than I feel like the SPY is here, just to put that in perspective.
Yes. Yeah.
So definitely catch that. That's a relative outweigh. And I'm seeing technology up 0.3 from the open, consumer cyclical leading here, down defensive, and utilities down over 1% already.
Yeah, so we have here, and we're here on the heat map. Again, just a lot of things very risk are doing very well. ARC, for example, has been climbing the leaderboard. We still have psychedelics leading, but now we have ARC, we have China, we have software, we have copper. These are all very, very risk on ETFs, and they're very risk on sectors. So everybody's loving life right now. So let's see how long that lasts. But you're right. Qs are already breaking the pre-market high, whereas the SPY is still got a lot of work to do to get up to that pre-market high. So, be very interesting to see if we can get that turnaround where, yeah, the SPY attempted pre-market highs, looks like it failed for now anyway. And then if we do Qs, okay, we're already above that pre-market high. So nice look there on the Qs. Be interesting to see if we can end up, getting some sort of a lift from there, and then what that means for the different sectors. Like RSP, still in the middle of its range, so just showing that a lot of big cap tech is moving. ARC, again, is always hilarious when I see ARC up here, just because of what a dog it's been for so long. But it's a good one of those, like I talked about with Bitcoin, right? It's a nice risk appetite type of thing where you have Bitcoin doing well, you're probably not in a bearish market where everybody's running for the door.
All right, guys. Orders out. Risk for Boeing is about $31, back towards the range on the 5-minute. The wick there at around the 176.90. That's where I'm risking on there. GM, I have break even and I added onto it. So I have 47.81s now. I started at 48, looking for this to come right back through the low and cut the low. The low is 47.11. So have more than enough to make the money that I need now. Now I just need it to go down. And the best part, risk is break even right now. So even if I get cut out, I'll look to get back in it. If it goes back towards, let's say, 48 and then rejects, that's okay too. What's keeping me honest on the break even is Tesla's move higher. So Tesla's doing pretty well right now. So I'm not going to be pushing too hard on GM early. If Tesla was tanking, I'd be jumping on that. There's Boeing going for the move now. Should probably get an ad on Boeing through the 176.20s. We'll see what happens here, guys. Getting after the short side of things.
Yeah, what an interesting. I'm just watching the cues here. Just a nice rip right off the open. Uh, just holding very nicely. So we're just kind of watching this thing. This is a 2-minute chart just to see if it holds. And then we've got
There's Boeing going down.
SPY. Yeah, the SPY, you see that it rejected. So this is the line that I drew in earlier. Rejected that pre-market high and came down. The Qs doesn't really care. So we're getting a big bifurcation with, if you own tech, good for you. If you own anything else, might not be the best time for you. So I'm watching the same SPY trade that I talked about with Palantir and TEM. If we can break down under the VWAP and then hold here, that is the fake out kind of shakeout, and see if we break down. The 2-day VWAP is 596. So that's about a point of range. I'll take that if I can take a little scalp there.
All right, good downside action coming in on Boeing and GM. I'm both in the green here now and just trying to manage the trades and try to give them a little leeway to get into the green. Let's see what happens now. 2 trades on, guys. GM and Boeing short. Let's see what happens here.
You see, we got a visitor here, Mitch.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's bring them in just a second here, guys. I'm sorry, I got to reassess here. Let me just go ahead and put a stop. There we go. Let me go ahead and bring my man in, Justy Trades. All right, let me fix this up right quick. Let me fix the layout right quick here. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, so
there
GM
we go.
looking good.
Let's bring in my man, Justy in the house. What's up? What's up? How we doing, Steve?
Hey, doing all right. Thanks for bearing with me there. My body's not fully cooperating, but I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me on.
I know you can't miss out, man. No worries, Steve. I'm addicted to it too, man.
They just can't keep me away, Mitch.
I know.
Guys?
Hey, not too bad. Just got cut out of GM, but I'm still looking to maybe nail on GM right now. Boeing is helping me out though. Just going straight down here. The Boeing looks like you're clear for landing. You're clear for landing, Boeing. And why am I going after Boeing? It's just they have so much exposure to international pricing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm going after Boeing here. The daily chart actually doesn't look bad, but I think they caught the bulls on that up move. This up move right here, on Tuesday the 28th, where it went up to 188 and they made it look like it was just going to go back to 200, and they had it. I think that's how they can stuff it. Now back through 180, I can start being bullish again. But for right now, I feel like that's like a trap. That was a trap day that caught the bulls.
Yeah, I'm just continuing to look. We rejected again for now on the SPY at that pre-market high that I've drawn. Just again, it's wild. Still watching my Palantir just to see if we can again get a break back through VWAP from the VWAP to VWAP trade. TEM, I'm going to look to take a little short if we end up doing the pre-market lows here. This VWAP is all the way down at 60, so it's like $5, give or take. This is just that Nancy Pelosi darling that was doing great for a while, and just second she bought it, of course, everything went great for her. And then now that we're coming in, just a little bit of a gap fill. See if we can get something there with that TEM.
So
And
Michael, looks
AI.
like we're dueling a little bit here.
Oh,
I
no.
swung Arc K overnight for anticipating a Palantir beat. I wasn't expecting all of that. What a crazy move.
How is she doing right now? 105 on the Palantir.
Cooking, baby.
Cooking.
Oh, yeah.
Cooking.
Arc K is cooking that breakout. I'm really watching it pretty closely here. If Tesla can cooperate, I mean, it's been doing well without Tesla, so that's why I've been impressed. Coin needs to turn up. It's got a lot of what's it got? Palantir Coin, Roblox is reporting this week. A lot of good stuff going, I think.
Boeing cut me out there. I'm trying to get back in it here, guys. I did take a small cut out there on Boeing, about $35 here. I'm right back in it, just trying to just nail it down here. A lot of times I get these little washouts where it comes right back in. So I'll take it here. I just got to shorten down the risk here on the bounce. The key is the spread on Boeing is very hard to deal with, guys, just to give you guys a perspective on that.
Yes, no, it's
it is
a bigger one. It's liquid, but it's not insane, right? So
yeah, it just can like widen out really quickly and try to grab you really quickly. So
yeah.
Those are the harder stocks to trade, right?
Yeah, definitely.
GM right back into kind of an area where I could get after it. So I'm probably just going to get after GM again here. I went break even on the first time.
Yeah, second rejection there of that pre-market high. So really, I've gotten laser focused. I haven't done anything yet. Laser focused here on the SPY. It's one of those things that if we get above this pre-market high, could be on. If we break down under VWAP here, maybe we're going to go retest this VWAP, which lines up with these lows, which is again around 96.5 on the SPY, and just showing that we are stuck in a range. But we mention this all the time, so I want to just go to a little chart overview. Right after we had this was kind of the last big fake out bear trap, I would say, that happened right here. And the next day, a little bit of an inside day. And we had this giant gap. Next day, a little bit of an inside day. Right? We had this massive move right here. And then this day is just kind of okay. A little inside day here. So quite often you'll see big move, shakes up the market one way or the other. And then the next day is like a rest day. So barring any kind of tweet, because we were very choppy yesterday, me and Mitch were talking about it. And then a tweet came out and just changed that entirely.
Catching a theme out there, guys. Energy really, really strong, guys. And there's only rare times I'll say it like that, because it's pretty strong, up 1.2, leading the market here. And I'm seeing a lot of action there going on. Of course, you guys know I was looking at MPC. Look at that one now. It's looking a lot better on the daily. And that's the reason why I was looking at that. A lot of times I start looking for these to kind of make that bottoming action. Nice little inverse head and shoulders appeared yesterday with that action. And now we're starting to come back. 155 is the big level for me to start seeing MPC really take off there. But it's an interesting action there in energy today.
And MPC had earnings yesterday, I'm seeing here. And they beat across the board. They beat top and bottom line. So that's obviously not a bad thing.
Definitely not. GM back down here. We'll see if it keeps going down here, guys. Try not to show my hand. I've been showing my hand a couple of times there. Gotten stopped out here. So trying to hang in there on Boeing too. I'm right on there. GM up about 61. Been up about $50 before. Let's see if it can really take down the lows. If I can get that move, I'll be over 100.
Ooh, Q's strong. That's impressive.
Yeah, Q's holding on. SPY continues to hold on. Again, I'm just watching. This pre-market high is very well defined. And
Yeah,
we
yeah,
bumped
no
into
doubt.
it a bunch of times. So I think that's a pretty clear line in the sand. We get above that. We hold above that. Off to the races. I see psychedelics moving. Again, I don't know. I need to look at when is RFK confirmation vote time. Yeah, because I see MindMed up 8, 9, 10% right now as I look over.
Wow.
PSIL still hasn't moved, but this is more about the closing prices than anything. So I know the vote is happening today. I don't know when. That's going to be, I think, the big thing is either trade during it, but know what's going on and know things can reverse quickly starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. So right as we are 10 a.m. So 10 minutes. I always convert my time zones. Confuse me. But yeah, so in 10 minutes is when it's starting. So we are ramping into that. Sometimes if you have something like this where a stock is ramping into a large news event, sometimes you can get the sell the news. So we have to be a little bit careful about that, but just know that's going to be an event that's going to affect, I think, agriculture. So wheat, corn, all that. I think it's going to affect farm or biopharmas, large and small as well. So just know that we're in that environment. The thing that really got me when I was doing all this research, again, full disclosure, I own MindMed. I own some MindMed. I don't own the company, but 37%
It's like
short
you own
float
the
on a
company,
lot of
man.
these
Let's
names.
go.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Maybe
not
off
yet.
the trade.
So
Dude,
yeah,
you know the BS car companies are going up when I see Nikola up 9%.
Oh boy.
yeah, that they still haven't shipped a single car, have they?
Oh, of
Dude,
course.
no, now they're like a LiDAR company. Now they're into the
Oh,
autonomous
course.
area. They're not making trucks anymore, man.
Of course they are.
They
Yeah, so a
sold
lot of
that
these
intellectual property.
names have pretty wild short floats on them when it comes to these psychedelic type names. So we got 38% on MindMed, which is nearly half of the company. I think it was Cybin, CYBN was another one.
Yeah.
Short interest.
Cybin's
No,
Cybin's a really good one
MPS.
there. Cybin's working
Yeah,
on
there was a couple of
DMT,
these.
dimethyltryptamine, the most powerful hallucinogenic known to man.
Yeah, so it doesn't have a short float on PSIL, but it has a short interest ratio, which is just basically saying days to cover, and it's showing that at two full days to cover on PSIL if they start going. So that just adds. We talk about this all the time. I mention it constantly. Short float only matters when the shorts are wrong, right? And I see this all the time. People go, "Oh, this thing's heavily shorted. That means it has to go up." It's like, no,
Nope.
No,
Look
Trust
at
me, no.
AMC. Right? You go to AMC.
look at Beyond Meat.
Beyond Meat. Any of these high float, like AMC used to be a $600 name and it has a high short float. It's because they're right. This is an awful company. It's on its way to kind of zero here. You only care about short floats when there's some sort of catalyst that may make them want to cover, or better yet, in my opinion, as a technician, obviously, is price action. If you have something that's heavily shorted and it's ripping, that's the moment that the shorts need to get out of their position. They need to cover and could cause a squeeze. If the shorts are right, you just kind of want to stay out of their way. Right?
Speaking of ripping, SPY got through your level there, Michael. Got a nice clean break.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't jinx us.
Sorry. That's what I do. I call moves too early and I time the wick.
We got to see if it holds.
That's
Now,
how it is.
This is one of those days I'm probably going to remind everyone a couple times. We are inside yesterday's range. This is still an inside day. I know a lot of traders who just don't even wake up for inside days. They don't trade them. They're not interested. It just means that if you are, you need to be a little faster, right?
Yeah. And on inside days, it might make sense to build a cushion with early moves, right? Build a cushion, then use that cushion to risk the range, right? That's where I feel like sometimes, quicker trading can sometimes help you in day trading, right? So like maybe like today I've been up like on 2 or 3 stocks about $60, right? Maybe taking those gains could have been using that $120 to $180 and then using that risk to then make the trade, right? The bigger trade, right? So that's how it can sometimes be. And I think a lot of times traders, sometimes they see the opening move and we're all thinking continuation versus a range being formed.
Yeah. Well, because it's more fun for us, right? If you
Yeah,
buy
man.
something and it rips, and if you sell something and it
mean,
dips, but that's why
that's just life.
we will warn people all the time and say, yeah, that's why I'm constantly warning for potential range bound markets, because
Yeah.
I know myself, and I probably speak for a lot of traders, that's where people get hurt. Most people, especially if you're in this watching and you're in this room, you're probably not, at least I hope not, someone who's just buying a stock and holding it as it's going against you a massive amount. I don't think that's where people's biggest problems are. I think people's biggest problems are, especially if you're with Trade the Pool, the beauty of it is just stop you out. Right? Just, I love those stop outs because they're going to stop you from doing that. I think most people get into a lot of problems because of range bound environments, right? Where you're getting chopped one way. But I don't, I'm going to stick my neck out a little bit. Looks like we are holding this breakout now. So right, what we got to watch for is if we end up coming back down into this 598.50 area, if we can get it holding there, right? Buyers coming in at a low price, but we have the SPY that's holding the pre-market high breakout. Q's already has been, is getting close to the highs of the post-market, which is kind of 522. IWM, always the laggard, the poor small caps, but it's trying over pre-market highs, trying to catch up. So a lot of these things are getting very close to going green. That's something that a lot of traders want to study or want to focus on is going green and then breaking the prior day's high, because those are the two, I would say, when it comes to a lot of different trading algos, those are the two things that there's a heavy focus on. The red to green play is just a famous one.
Michael, really quick, just to emphasize your point, Google right now is posting a really nice base on the day. And I think that when it breaks high of day, it'll be a perfect example of one of those to watch. It's just gonna, I think just
yeah,
a surge. Look at that.
I was concerned on if that would break technically today because of the antitrust outlook in China.
I don't think we care. I don't think the market cares, honestly.
Well,
at least for the time being. For the time
Google's
being,
not
right?
available in China anyway, right? That was
I don't even
like
know.
I spent.
I mean, at least that's what they're competing on. But maybe you know a little bit more about that, Michael. I mean,
unless it changed, I spent a couple weeks in Wuhan, of all places, which again no one ever heard of until the COVID, and then everyone heard of it. The idea is that when you get there, you can't go to YouTube, you can't go to Google, you can't go to any of these places. That's why they have their own versions. I think Baidu, the IDU, isn't that the Google of China? And then they have all their own kind of infrastructure, because at least on mainland, I think it might not be on Hong Kong, but on mainland China, they blocked all these because they didn't want people to know about. You could Google things like if you ever asked DeepSeek about the Tiananmen Square incident and stuff, all these things kind of implode on themselves. So yeah, it was all censorship based reasons. But, so yeah, unless there could be something that I don't know about, but just last I checked, you can't use Google at all on mainland China.
Yeah, at least that's what the news had it in their antitrust outlook there. We'll see what happens. Getting closer towards 10 a.m. I think this is a big watch for me here. I'm looking to see if we get a big red bar or not here. Of course, we've been green straight up here. Bulls taking control. Now let's see. I think if they're going to try at least and stuff them back down in the range. Let's see what happens here.
Yeah, I think that's
Google going for that breakout right now. Looks like Tesla as well, very strong. So I'm just hanging out in these art calls. I think they're going to keep cooking.
It's very good. Very good time to be a swing trader. Everything has been very, very happy from the swing trading side of things. Day trading, it gets, trends like this get hard. Swing trading, I'm very happy camper to do not very much today. Everything's just been working out so well.
I will say really quickly here on SPY, I am seeing the tape start to barcode, so to speak. There are some sellers coming in off this 599 handle, which for me is I call it like an hourly support. Well, if it's under us, but now resistance because it is over us here. So I'm going to be watching that level pretty closely here. I'd like to see basically a confirmation of the high of the day holding here, which I don't know where that anchored. I should redraw my anchored VWAP, but I figure it's probably going to be somewhere around there.
All right, guys, taking a little bit of a risky trade here. I'm on long on the SQQQ. So essentially shorting the Qs here, looking to see if we get a big bar right back here and kind of stuff some of this bullish move right here. Why? Energy leading is showing me a little bit here that maybe I should not be playing so much to the upside. So we'll see what happens here.
The some event just
something happened, dude.
Yeah. Big
jobs opening is coming out.
I'm liking Bitcoin here. Sorry, Mitch, that was unfortunate timing.
No, it's okay. I see a big wick there too. So I mean, I'm not stressing it at all because I'm playing it off the low essentially here with low size here. So it's just more playing the turn, right? You can always play the turn. You just got to know when the kind of the getting's good and when you got to get out, right?
Totally. I did just long IBIT there. That's my preferred Bitcoin vehicle. So I'm a Bitcoin bull. I see Tesla breaking out. I'm holding my RK. It's kind of what I'm looking for here. I want to see those moves stick though. But Tesla looks very, very juicy.
Yeah, so it looks like
I think this will be the telling sign.
Jolt's jobs opening came in less than expected. So they were expecting 8 million jobs to be opened, I guess.
Wouldn't that be a negative?
Is it a negative? But then it doesn't mean that they don't have to raise rates. Right. They're going to raise rates. Like it's just one of those. Is it a negative thing, or is a negative thing a positive thing?
Is the good news good news, bad news, bad news? Essentially, I think it's bad news because the one thing that is concerning in the labor market is that there's not jobs openings. But the market reacted with a wick to the upside here. So it's just more along what you're looking at, right? I mean, we'll see what happens here. One thing that is interesting for me, Quantum not playing part in the rally right now, at least from what I'm seeing. The euphoric names not taking part in the rally.
I kind of like Quantum as a hedge to the. It's so scary because you hedge the meme, but I don't know if the AI bubble does pop. I think these things just half themselves. You gotta be good on the timing. But I was watching some March flow on 13 puts on RGTI, so that's one on my radar there.
All right, guys, I took the bet. Let's see what happens here. If I take a hit, I'll try to take a hit between $30 to $40. Right now, it's about $30, so it's leaning towards 40 here on the 2890s.
So I didn't take this just because I don't have the guts, but I'm going to take it in this little paper thing here. RGTI is putting in that exact setup that we were talking about yesterday, Mitch, that I learned from that Epic Day Trader, our old pal Kenny Glick in New York. Right? You look up, you look for a close under VWAP on the gap up, and then you're targeting the next day VWAP. I just put the stop here at high. So just going to play it out again, just watching, seeing. You can see this little indicator that I'm building that would alert when that happens. So it's one of those that I'm just going to build out the indicator. If I notice this thing happening and happening correctly over and over again, then I can automate it. And I can build my own list. He says that's kind of where the real power in this setup is, looking for things that are in play that day, either earnings or just themes. We know themes kind of come and go. So quantum computers are big right now. They might not be big a little bit later. So that's going to be the game plan if I can automate that. Because if I can automate through TradingView, then eventually when Trade the Pool, I can learn to automate it through there as well. And then I might not actually be a bad day trader when I can automate all the things. So that's the goal. Same thing I have Duke going with my swing trading, right? I guess I can just talk about these when they happen. So AGYS, no idea what this is, but my system spot a little bit of this morning as it pulled into this prior high right here for about a week hold. So it's stop loss is I think 75, and then it's close it on Monday, and that's the system there. And that's mostly what I do from a longer term point of view. Is I just have these systems. I've backtested them forever. I've got five of them that just kind of work off each other. And yeah, I took that play. So looking to systematize the day trading the same way I have the swing. So what are you seeing here on the SPY? So no other. I wanted to check because yeah, we missed that was happening. The jolts. Nothing
Yeah,
else.
I don't think I expected jolts to move the market as much as it did. It was a little spike there.
I just look at this guy. I don't know anything about these reports, but I love this Forex Factory website. It just if it's a red box, then it's something I got to pay attention to. If it's a yellow box, I don't really care about it. If it's an orange box, and I'm like, yeah, maybe sometimes it'll move it. So, yeah, that was factory orders. Yeah, there's nothing else for the end of the day except a couple FOMC guys yapping. So good, they're back on the circuit, chatting about whatever they want to chat about at the time. So we'll see.
Or not chatting about what they want to chat about. Like Jerome, he was scared to talk, man. He was scared.
Oh, yeah.
He was as scared. He was as scared as like when you're the new employee and you get called into the boss's office. Like he was frightened. He was like, I'm sure if you would have checked his hands, they were sweaty.
That's a tough gig. It's got to be a tough gig, especially in this kind of climate. Oh
right,
wow,
guys,
we're
taking
getting
a
that
hit right now. Yeah, he's still
squeeze.
seeing that strength. The thing that was interesting though, the SQQQ, I don't know if it was hedgers taking off their bet, but there was 600,000 shares in a 1 minute candle there on that spike here. So it wasn't like
I'm curious.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who had that much size there. But I think I'm not the only one looking to see if the reversal happens here.
Yeah, definitely possible here. We're hitting the round number targets. We're getting a little overextended in certain time frames. That being said, I mean, I don't know. We're looking
I don't
strong.
know, man.
We're looking
I
strong,
don't know.
boys. Let's see what happens here off the 600 level. But hard for me to be looking short yet when stuff like Palantir is flagging and wants to break high a day again. That's
I don't even know how the hell how people are long on Palantir at this point. But hey.
Dude, it broke my ankles at 40. Jeez, you know.
Yeah,
like
dude, I sold it at like 36.
Yeah, exactly.
But then again, hey, I mean,
we can't all be diamond hand supremes over here holding 7 to 100.
No, I mean, it just goes to show me, like, you know, like I talk about it, and I think it's a good day to maybe talk about this. We'll talk about this throughout the show. Kind of bubble environments. To me, that's a bubble move. I don't care what anyone says. That's a bubble move. There's no reason for the stock to be trading like it is fundamentally wise. So I think that's where I start to think bubbles. Like if the fundamentals don't make sense to me and the stock is making that type of move on the technical and story side of things, that's my answer, whether if a stock is in a bubble move or not.
I mean, I will say in Carp's defense, I mean, they are making money. They are profitable. Who is getting that money? Probably mostly Carp and his employees. But, you know, it's quite a story, if nothing else. I mean, all the haters, all the certified haters from under 10, it's I don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that Palantir fanboys are my favorite section of the stock market, but Palantir haters are worse. So.
Nah, I mean, hey, it's like the SoFi lovers right now, right? I mean, there's always going to be the investor love, right? Investor love is very different than trading love. I think that's one thing that we could distinguish here.
And then there's Kitty Love. Here's the weekly Cleo visit.
The Chewy love?
Decided to say hi. All right. Sorry to interrupt, Mitch.
No, you're good, my friend. You're good. All right, guys, market's slowing down here. We're still stair-stepping high. Not a single move to the VWAP here as the Qs push through the highs right there. 523.50s now. Really close to stopping out here on the 28.80s. I'm like cent away. I'm ready to cut it here, guys. If it doesn't come back to a green candle on this 1 minute candle, I'm done.
It's pain right here. They're just squeezing. They're just squeezing away.
Well, let's see. So we're getting very close to the yesterday's high on the SPY. Very close there. If we break that, we've got this little gap that's up to 601. You know, again, there's a lot of bears that had a bad time last time. So we have copper moving of all things. So
Oh,
copper, nice
interesting.
little breakout here.
FCX is down
FX.
to pretty deep support levels. If anybody wants a way to play that with stock, I haven't looked at it close enough to be like buy that, but I mean it's deep in there.
Yeah, I've been watching. The reason, well, copper is a good overall look on the overall markets in general. But I always like the look of just looking at this at
Just
the
took the hit.
support, right? So
I
that's a
feel you,
big
Mitch. I
support
think
zone
it'd
on
just
top
get
of that.
worse, honestly.
No, I have to take it. Have to take the hit there, guys. Down to 1,176. So pretty much like 150, 180 away now from the. So about 170 now down here. So hey, it is what it is. Been close to it. And what's frustrating is this morning I had it, man. I had it pegged. Just started the show and didn't want to take the trade and as soon as I started the show. So it's been like that, man, where some slight hesitation has cost me, guys, especially the last 2 days. Slight hesitation, especially when I started the show today, costing me now as I just took a trade here. This one's not a bad trade there, but it's just more along this morning. Should have taken that trade. It was my setup. I just didn't take it. VLCN now trading at $9 when I saw it at 420. So hey, that just is what it is, man. It is what it is. It's just how it goes sometimes.
Man, that's a crazy move. Palantir is looking for the next leg here. We'll see if it can do that. If so, then I'm sticking with this ARC trade. It seems like this is a squeeze them out day. I don't know if we see much red here, or at least not until this morning session ends. I don't know if they're gonna take their foot off the gas pedal if they don't have to here. At least till that gap fills that Michael mentioned. That's the point where I'm going to be starting to watch for character.
Yeah, I think that was going to be my point. I think that's right. Quite often these gaps, maybe 30-minute charts, good way to look at it. Yeah, right here, these can kind of act as vacuums. That's about a point above us. It's not too crazy to think we're going to get there at all, right? With this nice little push up that we're having. So, so I'm actually just looking to see. Oh yeah, it is live. This is because I think this is the only event that's occurring right now. Now that those are the way that matters, and I'm not obviously going to listen to this. You couldn't pay me to care about that kind of stuff, but just knowing that it's happening, and they've kind of just started right here. So that would be one to watch. Again, that's the only other big event that I see happening today. I don't even think people care about these FOMC jerks anymore. We know what rates are going to be. We know that's one of the things with we've been through this. We've done this dance. We know that Trump is going to bully people until the rates are as low as he wants them to be. We've done this before. That's the beauty of what we do with technical analysis. We study history, and then we apply that history to current events. We know if there's a new theme like robotics or quantum computer, all you have to do is go look at all the old themes, and they're probably going to act somewhat the same. So we know that this administration wants lower interest rates, and we know that the guy will bully anyone to do whatever it is he wants to do. So I think the Fed talk is just going to kind of pull away for a little bit where again, we just don't really care anymore. It's like, okay, you can say whatever you want.
Sorry, something just happened. I'm not sure what it was, but that's a news looking candle on volume. Sorry to interrupt. I'm looking for what just went down.
Okay, yeah, no, let's go take a look at the SPY. Yeah, and it could just be right. We are up a lot here. These are 2-minute candles. So now we've got two topping tails here, but you're right. We pretty harshly rejected that.
I just saw like everything on my screen move in tandem there. That was kind of spooky.
It could have been, yeah.
Yeah, I'm out of the SQQQ. You know how that goes.
Yeah. Often I'll see that like rebalancing, like where like they're just like
shares came back in too on that move. So SQQQ got at 10:01 600,000 shares. It just got another 543,000 shares. Yeah, to me, it's just looking like someone's betting on some quick downside action here.
Yeah, Bitcoin just flushed.
VIX is also getting volume too, guys. Just to put it in perspective, VXX getting some pretty decent volume there. So just want to tell you guys that I'm looking at it. I can see it already. It did a nice wick where it got out all the bears, and now it's looking like it want to spike.
Yeah, honestly, I'd love to see this catch up on Bitcoin. This is basically back testing the opening level, which did show strong support, and I'm seeing stuff getting bought up everywhere but Tesla.
Yeah,
That's
Tesla got a jump down. That's always a tough move where it jumps down. It jumped down on Tesla. That's why I'm still short GM. I'm still short it, guys. On Boeing and GM. Still looking to see those get the takedown here.
I'm on
So
the.
with that being said, Volcom is starting to look more like a target on the short side of things. So I might try to take a shot on that, but that is risky.
Navarro, I don't know. I'm just looking at like Walter Bloomberg's. I'm on the streets, as Mitch would say.
On the streets.
And just more tariff.
The streets talk sometimes, man.
Trump call will happen with China today. That's the latest news event. So that's that could have caused the problem. And it's important for people to know that all of this is so algorithmically. If you think that there's traders that are actually reading Twitter and then going to their trading platform and then hitting the buttons, like I got a bridge to sell you. So like what they do, and I know this from my work in the hedge fund space and for being a quant, is they program certain things. So like China, tariff, Trump, like these type of things are programmed into a system. If you see these things, take a trade. So that spike that Mitch was saying on the VIX and that we saw here on the S&P 500, it was probably a bunch of algos that saw that tweet came out,
100%.
tariff, China, and just like let's hit something. And then with that, everything else kind of moves with it, right? So I see someone asking about Palantir. I've got the same. I haven't taken it yet, but this is the trade I kind of had planned out this morning. I want to see a break under VWAP. Same thing with RGTI. This thing I didn't take in my eval account, but I just took on this kind of paper trader, and so far it's working great. And this is very simple. You're looking for spend a couple 15, 20 minutes in the morning above VWAP on a gap up, and then as it breaks down, you take your short. Right, you're targeting the 2-day VWAP. You just kind of let it go. So that ends up being like a 1.8, 1.9% risk reward. That's the same thing I'm looking here for Palantir. So I have this thing.
Tough day, man. Tough day. Hesitated there, guys. Missed another good trade. So that's a little frustrating there. VLCN, we talked about it. As soon as I saw Tesla start coming down there, I was like, man, maybe short the 9 right there. And it goes into a halt at 844. So it's just how it is right now, man.
The down halt.
We are starting to get that roll on Palantir. If anybody wants to play it, look for it to lose that last swing low there. And it could just plummet pretty quick.
Yeah, I'd play that in the main account. It doesn't look bad for a short there. You just have to risk off the 106 recovery. At least for me, you have to risk all the way up to at least that 106, if not the 106.50. So understanding the spread on that and what you want to go after there, very important here. But if it breaks 105, it could go to 100. So you got to like kind of know what your risk to return you're looking at there. But that VLCN, man. Oh my God, I saw it hit 9. I was about to hit it. I had the order size there and just waited for a second. I was like, maybe I get 920. That's how it goes sometimes. Sorry, breaking down. Of course, the auto manufacturer is breaking down also there. GM giving me a little bit of a spike watching that.
Yeah, because as far as I can see here, there is no there's no news other than they're having a call today. So I don't again, I think that was one of those algos gone rogue, if you want to put it that way, where it's Trump, tariff, China hit the news wire, and then they hit the sell button, and that's what caused probably the spike in the VIX and the spike in all these different indices. And then they go, oh, because even though they're quantitatively driven, of course there is people watching them that probably read the tweet and said, listen, dumb robot, unwind that position. And we'll wait for the next one. But it's one of those that, like yesterday, with the second that tweet came out about Mexico and the tariff being lifted there, the market just rocketed. So the algos were first into that move. They had a great time. So maybe the robots got a little bit excited today. Still watching Palantir. It's still no trigger. It does look like it might be kind of weakening up here. And again, these are just for little day trades, right? So I need to divorce myself from, I own Palantir in my long-term account. So it's like, becomes complicated to try to say, I want to short here, but I'm long here. And I want to, but I think it's one advantage of being able to have these where you can day trade and swing trade and do all these different things, especially when it's someone else's money, therefore someone else's account. So I'm not selling my Palantir I own in my long-term account. It's a different one as well, right?
Strength continuing in the market here, guys. It's still pushing.
Yeah, look at that. Google. Wow, I should have played that setup. That's a nice breakout. Tesla, I'm looking for a catch off the 200 moving average. I'm looking for a catch on Bitcoin as well. I'm not sure why it's so weak though. That is a little questionable to me. But
GM had the setup. Now starting to shake it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching here, going back to the SPY. Looks like we have we hit that gap fill. Now this is where a bunch of technicians, you put a bunch of nerds in the room and they'll start fighting. Some technicians will say a gap fill is the low of the candle. Some technicians say the gap fill is the close of the candle. And if you want to see an incredibly nerdy argument, it's like you can walk into a room of technicians and say define gap fill and then walk out, because it's one of those, there is no real answer. It's just different kind of perceptions. From what I think anyway, is that if the candle was like this, where the low and the close were very far apart, maybe it matters. Here, I don't, the low and the close were right next to each other. I don't think it matters that much. So we have closed that gap. So now what's happening? If we go into pretty much the 1 minute here, we close that gap. We're consolidating sideways for a bit. So the question is, what's next? I mean, you have that fight that's going on. If we end up getting back into yesterday's range, there is so many shorts that hit right here. I guarantee you, I just, from looking at these charts, there's so many shorts in this area that are going to be dead wrong and starting to get very hurt, because this down day that happened with the whole tariff up and down, it was in a massive volume day. A lot of people were taking a bet that they can short here, they can put their stop at all-time highs. It's a pretty good trade, especially if you covered on Monday. It was a great trade. But even, right, if you were betting on the top of the market, that's a good place to kind of bet on that top. They're going to be wrong as we start to bleed into this range, and I think you're going to get a little bit of a short covering rally if that happens. So I'm watching this gap fill again very, very closely. PLTR is getting close to a trigger. So my idea, and again, I'm working this out with you guys, so in chat, give feedback. Again, I am self-admitted awful day trader. So the idea I'm thinking is a 2-minute closing candle. Under that, I just don't want to get triggered on a little spike under VWAP and back up. I want to see that candle close and hold under that, and then I'll look to take a short. Stop will be just over the high of the day, and then target again the 2-day VWAP. Same thing again we're doing with RGTI, which this one's doing fantastic. So right, this is all fake money, but I wouldn't let that thing get back over VWAP. So now we're risking 500 to make 1700. That's a great risk reward. So I'm watching this for this 2-minute candle close. That's why I have this little, probably hard to see, this little countdown timer on each candle to tell me how close it is.
I love that feature. It's so comfy.
Yeah. Well, it's 2-minute candle versus 3-minute candle versus, it's a bit arbitrary, but you have to, that's trading, right? You have to get all this arbitrary stuff, and you've got to solidify some rules just to make sure you're not just going in and doing whatever you feel like that day.
Right. You gotta draw your line somewhere, so to speak.
Right. So
yeah,
that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Really quick, just on when you were talking about gaps, I want to say the biggest thing for me right now is the gap is the magnet, right? So we've hit the magnet. It's like mission accomplished. We did the thing. And now it's like very important for me at least to watch, okay, now which way does price start reacting off of this level? Now is there a change of character? Are we still full bull mode? Are we going to plow straight through that gap? But I like you were saying about that stop candle. I mean, that's how I see we get the big range breakout, right? Like we just use all those shorts as fuel and just just ride it up on their tiers, and then they can cover, and then the new buyers can start coming in on these brand new highs, and bid it up. So that's the bull case that I would like to see here.
Yeah, and I think that's important just to talk about gaps and why they're important. Is just it's a place, it's undiscovered space, right? There's been no trading that's been happened there, no serious institution trades really in the after hours. They need that liquidity of the regular market open. So yeah, you have this area of like nebulous space between bars, and so we don't know. So there's no area of support or resistance to draw or anything like this. So that's why we're interested in gaps, because it's this void that sometimes can just get filled, and then the market tries to discover kind of what's inside that gap when it comes to supply and demand.
Yeah, nature hates a vacuum. That's one of those trading rules, or just I guess universals about the universe. I never it never hurts to keep it in mind.
Gotcha. Yeah, so really we're just, ever since we got into that gap, we do SPY, right? We hit that gap, and these are 2-minute candles, so we probably spend the last 10-15 minutes just consolidating here. This next move, again, is the thing that's going to be important. Uh, and that could be one of those things that we're getting close to maybe the start of lunch, or maybe we just hit that area and we just chill out for a bit. That wouldn't shock me. Could be one of those where we just consolidate here until this afternoon, and then we get a move one way or the other. Again, that wouldn't shock me either.
In my mind, the
again,
longer we spend consolidating up here, the more bullish it is, because we're kind of like, trading more volume up here. We're getting price acceptance. In theory, we're starting to build out volume shelves and create like that kind of P volume profile that you'd like to see if you're going to push higher, right? So I'd like to hang out up here, honestly.
yeah, it's the whole Brian Shannonism, right? You can either deal with overbought conditions through price or through time. So price
Yeah.
would be a pullback. Time is just, we hang out here. We chew through this overhead supply slowly over time. Looks to be what's happening for now anyway. I've got on the corner of my window this confirmation hearing. They don't seem to be like, again, this is how much I follow this stuff in politics. I just see a bunch of old guys yapping. I think they are voting now. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'm getting the squeeze now on GM. So GM getting a little bit squeezy here, guys. It's starting to squeeze back up. I'm ready to get out of it. I'm definitely taking a hit here on it now. This is one that I was just switched over to. By the time I got on it, I was already at like 47.90s there. So it's coming back pretty quickly here. Just trying to consider it here if I'm going to try to risk off the 48.31s there to the left-hand side or not. So that's kind of like the only other rejection area I could see happening here. Other than that, market's still looking strong. What's up?
48.40 to 48.45. We can call it 48.50, that 10-cent band. That's where I'd look for a rejection on GM if it's going to happen. I think it's trying to like run up there and mitigate the sellers from pre-market.
Yep. Exactly that. I could see it too. And that's just going to stop me out and then probably bring it back down. But we'll see what happens here. Still got Boeing in the green, but it's not looking good here, guys. And both of them were up pretty good a little while ago when I was starting to get on the SQQQ. So it's just kind of one of those things where I didn't have the stop place because I've been hunted on a couple stops earlier today on GM. So I tried to hold off of it, and it's costing me here for sure.
So they voted yes for Kennedy. So I just see, and Walter Bloomberg, I guess I can bring him in here. If you don't, I am 100% convinced that this isn't actually a person. I know it's not actually this guy. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
like
what it is.
But
yeah, I don't know who. I would love to do like an image search. It's not this guy, Walter Bloomberg, but this is all he does. He just posts news stuff the entire time.
It's got to be a bot, right?
It has to be. It has to be something that's scrubbing like Bloomberg and all these different places and putting them together. But yeah, so it was approved. So now we watch PSIL and see, is this a sell the news event, or are we going to continue to push higher? So you can see what I've got marked up for PSIL. Potential inverse kind of head and shoulders here. Pretty massive resistance there at 14. If we can get through that, then that is interesting. we go there. So if we can get through that $14 area, that'd be interesting. But again, when there's these events, it's either a sell the news event, in which this is what everyone expected that was going to happen. We were talking about this morning on Poly Market. It was 78% or no, 85%. So, it's something that
Healthcare
goes
straight down in the last 10 minutes. I will say that.
That's
Good.
right.
I hope
XLV.
all these
That's the
pharma
other.
companies go broke.
That's the other thing I was going to bring up. And look at this chart on healthcare on XLV. This this is a pretty bearish looking chart to me. You have prior resistance, support.
At least short term, it's got that potential inverted handle or cup base, but it's got to go back down and reconfirm it, I think.
HIMS pushing off the VWAP off of that, off the 40. Pretty good looking chart on HIMS today, guys, on the 5-minute. If you guys played that, pretty good looking chart there.
Oh, you're killing me, Mitch. This was the swing that I missed this year that guts me the most.
Yeah, man, we talked about it on the show. It was one of those that really did look good in the area right around the 25s, right? I mean,
the one that got away. There's always
the one that got away.
Shop is the one for me. Shopify. I'll always look at it at 45s.
Oh man,
and
Mitch,
just
bringing out the greatest hits.
My head.
That's
my head.
That's our one Canadian
it's not
company.
Square though. Have you taken a look at Square recently?
Oh, did it come back down?
XYZ now?
XYZ, guys.
Oh, this one I like for long, actually.
Yeah,
I like XYZ.
Change.
I'm ready to
just change your ticker randomly for no reason. That's a good use of shareholders' fund, because that's not free. You had to pay lawyers to do it. You had to
a lot of
file it.
I don't know. I think it's a tactic. I think they're doing it to shake out all the retail and just load up the baggies. No, that's what my friend was saying. Like, why in the world would they do that? We couldn't figure it out. It's the weirdest choice.
The joke was that in every textbook that you learn about finance, it's like ABC Corp and XYZ Corp, just for generic things, and that he wanted to be part, because ABC is already a thing. At least it was. Oh no, not anymore.
Did they change too?
Yeah, I don't see. No, it's not. It used to be. But yeah, so then we have XYZ, which it's just the guy. We've seen Dorsey, right? He looks like he did a little too many drugs, right? He's got a little too hippie with it, a little too into the Bitcoin, and off he goes. But chart looks great, actually.
I know, right? It's impressive. The weekly is basically breaking, or I think it's I think it might be an SOS. I haven't looked at it recently, but a little Wickoffy. And look at SPY just buying up the dip. Look at that.
Interesting chart here, guys. Just because it's a battle type of day, right? The quantum names are not moving to the upside here, but IonQ has an interesting chart off of the 15-minute here, I feel. Big wick to the upside. This is kind of like that play that you've been talking about also, Michael, where it comes back to the VWAP, then rejects kind of that move. If I look at it on the 1 minute, a lot of times I look for 3 undercuts underneath the VWAP to look to see if it recovers. It did that 1, 2, 3, and now you're going for that 4th look here. I think it's very important that it doesn't get to that 42 here. If not, it could be starting to break down the quantum names.
Well, so this is the update on the RGTI kind of paper trade, pretty much right down to the 2-day VWAP, and then starting to struggle there. So again, this is a move that I got when I was in New York from someone who's been day trading since I'd say most people in this chat room have been born. And this is all he does. Takes from a failure on a gap up or a failure on a gap down. He's just taking the little bit of a fade from a 1-day VWAP to a 2-day VWAP, and then moves on with his day. So this was a great trade. I'll probably actually just a paper trade. So let me just get out here.
Michael, so the general idea there from the 1-day VWAP to 2-day VWAP is basically just reverting the overdone move in either direction to the statistical kind of baseline that it was at before this anomaly. Is that kind of the idea there?
Right. And the idea is that if you're going to have a gap and that gap is going to fail, it's best to, have it above VWAP for a while to suck in a lot of the people who are looking to get involved. So like I just took the short on my both accounts here for PLTR. And the idea is that, right, it sucks in all these people that are buying the gap up, that are getting all hyped up in the FOMO, or the reverse on the gap down. And then when it breaks that VWAP, because so many people play the VWAP bounce trade over and over again, that when that breaks and that fails, it's a nice low risk entry. And then yeah, the 2-day VWAP just represents the average price from today and yesterday.
Yeah.
So if I was, for example, a large institution that I'm not going to trade this, right? This
Right.
is not, it's not what they do. They're not chasing things as they're ripping in the after hours. They'll mark the price and they'll say, okay, well, what was the, this VWAP? And then algorithms will start to come in at this zone and say, okay, if we can get down there, so this them potentially are going to try to push it down so that they can get a good price. And that good price, a lot of these systems go on around the 2-day VWAP. So the idea is that you target that or around that area, because that's roughly where buyers could potentially come in if they're worried about missing the move, that they're waiting for that 2-day VWAP. And very common thing when it comes to gaps is I don't want to buy the rip. I don't want to chase, especially if I'm a large institution. I'm looking to buy millions of shares. So I'm just going to mark that volume average price for the last 2 days. And then I'm going to come in and get it. So very simple. Again, I'm just starting trading it, but it's a very simple kind of style. And I like simple in my trading.
I'm gonna have to try this because I've been doing something slightly similar. Really quick, Bitcoin. I'm watching for a double bottom here, maybe not quite. Anyways, I've been doing something similar with to catch breakouts or for example trades that I believe are breaking out, but I don't want to swing them overnight. For example, just because I'm trying to hone the day trading skill set. So I will basically just have a bunch of alerts set to either prior day's VWAP or just prior day's high. And it's the same thing if it gaps up in after hours. I know institutions aren't going to chase that. They're just going to use whatever news happens to come out or any liquidity, downward pressure on the market to just ping it right back down there and just continue on their mission, right? Like so they don't have to lose the progress, so to speak. They don't, they catch the full move. So I mean, just the amount of times if you look for that, it happens. It's I would say criminal if that wasn't the whole point of it, right? It's they're very good at doing what they do, which is making money.
Yeah, they've got to get filled, and they have to be judged on how good that fill is.
Right.
And how else do you do that other than saying, let's take roughly a VWAP, and if you get near that price, then we're going to say you did a good job getting filled. If you don't, then you're going to say you did a bad job getting filled. So having that meter stick in which to be measured really helps to say, yeah, you did good, yeah, you did bad. So, and then look at this RGTI came right down pretty much to the 2-day VWAP, and then looks like it's starting to try to dig in and bounce here. So
I'm getting caught in Palantir here.
Oh yeah, all the dumb stuff.
Just got squeezed out of Palantir, guys. Out 105 there.
Yeah, so
not looking good for me, man. Not looking good for me today. It's one of those days.
It's a tough day to short, Mitch. I feel you. My heart goes out to you. This was me. I missed most of was it yesterday? I guess it was yesterday. I missed most of that rip. Just not believing.
Yeah, that's why. So for me, I just got a high day stop on this. I'm looking at XLV as well, just trying to look at all these post RFK type things. Doesn't look like, again, the expected thing happened, right? So you get a little bit of a move from it, but now they're basing. So MindMed is right where it was. I did this scoop off the open. He got confirmed and nothing. PSIL. It's hard to look at this intraday because it doesn't really move very much. But and then XLV.
What is that?
You had this little push down, and then it's just been hanging out. So this is a 5-minute chart, so it's a little bit longer chart, just showing little slight moves, but nothing. No one's really overreacting because again, when it comes to trading, it's looking for the unexpected thing. And that's what I think Polymarket, and I gave this kind of rant, but just in case anyone just stumbled in a little later, the Polymarket's going to do a real good job of telling you, or Kalshi or any of these betting sites, of what the average person thinks it's going to happen. So when we came in and it was an 85% chance that he was going to get confirmed, we were like, so that's that different, that 15% is just people pricing in what if the crazy thing happens. So if he didn't get confirmed, I think that would have been a really cool trade we could have taken. Now that he did, it's just everything's back to normal. So it's just the way markets work, right?
Him's going for the 41. We'll see if he gets above that 41. Still
We
holding
got
low.
a wake up in the ARC names here. Tesla's trying to put in a nice candle after potentially double bottoming on the day. ARC tried to break out, came back, and now is trying to push again through VWAP. I'm keeping an eye on these guys. I mean, Palantir just won't freaking die. Crazy. We'll see. I think it's probably just like you're saying, just got a lot of juice in both directions, so it's hard to put a tight stop on something like this.
Yeah, and that's one thing I like about this setup, right? You're talking high day, low day stops, pre-market high lows. Like
Yeah.
I'm going to take 1 to 2 trades a day. If I'm right, 50% of the time, this is a 3-to-1 risk reward ratio. So it's just kind of let them. So, at the point where this trade is on, I am going to walk away and it's going to hit the target or it's going to hit the stop loss or I check back at the end of the day and I'll exit the position. Because what do we do? It was yesterday, it was TPX. It was the same setup. It was gapping up. I took it as it broke right here, as it broke the 2-day VWAP. And then this is kind of the third option. It just did absolutely nothing all day, and I kind of punched out for a flat at the end of the day. I got very close to the 2-day VWAP but didn't move. So RGTI, I wish I took this in the eval account, but I didn't. But watch it come right to the 2-day VWAP and then puts in a little bounce here. It's just crazy how that I've just
Yeah.
seen.
Just
So,
works.
well, and so I got this again from this guy who, I was chatting with in New York, and, I was like, "Hey, I'm looking to build day trading systems because I have swing trading systems and they work great. But I feel like I'm leaving money on the table because I have this intraday buying power with my broker and access to trade the pool accounts. Why wouldn't I utilize that?" He goes, "Oh, well, let me show you." And I sat next to him for like 2 days, and he's like, "I'm going to buy this thing here, and it's going to go right to there." And it's crazy to watch it
Nice.
to watch it happen. So the art is going to be in picking the stocks, right? Once I get the indicator developed and all that, it will alert me for when the thing's occurring. The art is going to be, and this is one of the beauties of being on the show, is between me and Mitch. I'm sure we can pick a good look of stocks that are both gapping up and gapping down to feed into this, and then just general thematic, right? Our GTI was not really too much of an insane gap, but it had that massive rip off the open. So that's one of those things that you would add it into the watch list as things kind of happen throughout the day. And then IONQ, someone saying in chat, yeah. So this is one of those that yes, it broke. You got a little bit of move down, but it didn't struggle nearly as much. And with little spaghetti here is hitting that 2-day VWAP and then bouncing, then we got to see what happens there as well. TEM was the other one that I was watching. I didn't end up taking it. It was just super, super choppy, but it is just slowly grinding its way down to the 2-day VWAP. Again, just overextended gaps, kind of one way or the other.
Trying to work that Boeing, guys. It's the only position that's doing well for me right now, guys. So I'm trying to let it work here. Down to 173 is the daily support that I was looking at. So I'm trying to hold on for it, but a little part of me is almost in cover mode and just kind of protecting the day. But it does this one look good? Yeah, it looks good. Now the only question is, can it keep going? Right? I need some type of pullback in the market for that to happen, or XLI to continue on that pullback. You can see right now XLI is just hanging out here. So that's what I'm watching, guys, to see if XLI can go lower or Boeing to go lower. Boeing is now down to 174.86. I got 200 from 176.
It's doing well fighting the market, right? And so that's some good relative weakness. So if the market chills out or even pulls in a little bit, then it could be a really good sign because that's what you're looking for.
MPC also continuing to do well, guys. Oil trade that I looked at now is through the signal, the 155. Just yesterday, this was down at 145. Now back to 155. These are the trend chains I always look for, especially when you have that kind of stock that loves to get into a trend action. So MPC is definitely one of those. Now we're right back towards the prior highs, and now I'd look to see where we close the day. If we can close the day near the high of the day, this candle's going to be looking really strong, and a key reversal in some oil names today. Take a look at oil names overall. Gush doing really well on the bounce back right now. Still has yet to pull back on the day. So those oil names doing pretty well.
Yeah, oil is doing fantastic.
That's where the confusing part was for me, guys.
Yeah. Who's wrong, right?
With energy like it was leading and up 2%. Yeah, technology right behind that. I felt if anything was going to come back towards the mean, it was going to be technology, and it was actually neither. You don't see that too often. I'll at least say that you don't see that often with energy leading and technology right behind it.
So the
I can't
SPY
remember the last time I've seen it.
going here. Yeah, the SPY is kind of at this yesterday's high, and it is, not really struggling, but consolidating here as well. Again, you had such a big move off the open, a pretty big textbook move as we kind of get closer, march closer and closer to lunch. Again, wouldn't surprise me if we just take a break, chill out. Then in the afternoon, that's where your second move comes, either higher, which would be my bet, just because I have to bet on trends, right? And then daily, we're an uptrend. The intraday, we're an uptrend. All that kind of stuff. Um, the This kind of stuff is expected, right? So it's a pullback. So that's why I was really talking about Mitch's Boeing, because it's one of those things in which if Boeing is selling off and the market's ripping, that's definition of relative weakness. So then if you have a reversion back down in the market, then it could end up pushing those names lower that aren't participating in the rally when the rally occurs.
Well, take the hit there in GM, guys. 258 down on that. So down 425 on the main account. Definitely not where it need to be. We'll see if Boeing can bounce me back, at least getting me close to break even. I'm not even trying to get back to break even. If I could just at least manage the down day here. Might just run to the profits here. I'm just looking to see if we don't bounce back through the 175.25 here. But definitely not a good day for me today, guys. No bueno.
Of course, the trade I took was on Palatine, and the one that I put in the paper trader was Rigetti. So Rigetti worked, and Palantir is not right now, but still just kind of chopping around VWAP. So again, the game plan is that high day stop or the 2-day VWAP for a target, and I will just let both of those work and just check in on it on the close. Psychedelics aren't moving. XLV has stopped moving. The SPY has hit that high, and it's chilling out as well. So these are the periods where you don't want to get too excited one way or the other. A SPY could revert a little bit from that high that I just showed there, but I wouldn't say too. I wouldn't get too crazy one way or the other, just because I'm looking, and when do these guys start talking? One starts in 15 minutes, and then the other one starts at 2. So that's the only thing I see that could really shake up the market today. We are still pretty much, I know we're not technically, but we're pretty much in an inside day. So this kind of chop back and forth, selling the dips, buying the rips, again, continues to be the theme that we're looking at here.
Seeing a little bit of that slowdown on the cues, guys. It's about 10:47. We're going to be wrapping it up soon, guys. We'll see what happens. Definitely we'll take a little bit of a recap, battling myself not to get back into the SQQQ here. But that's just how it goes, guys. Literally, I can even feel it. I'm being a little bit risk adverse now just because of what's happening on the day. So I can feel the emotions going. So there's two things: battle the emotions or call it a day. Probably just going to call it a day, but definitely not the way to play the day, because I had the win there. And that's how it goes sometimes, guys. You don't take the trade, and then the next trade becomes the loser.
Man, Mitch, I relate to that. That's my biggest flaw in trading, where I will chase the next trade if I don't get the one that I wanted. So I just totally relate, and it's definitely not just you, brother. That's so tough, but it's a great skill to be cognizant of practicing.
Yeah. It's just how it goes. And
Yeah.
it's how it goes sometimes. I think I have had like 2 or 3 trades where I've missed the trade because I'm starting the show, and I have the idea of, what do I do here? Do I start the show in a trade and then just like kind of take the show hostage, be like, forget the market, guys? Or do I just just kind of wait? And a lot of times I'll choose to wait to try to show you guys the entrance, right? Not trying to cherry pick and be like, oh, well, I'm here, I'm up, up on this one. Now look at it, right? Well, that doesn't really help anybody. But that VLC ad today, definitely that was the stock for this account, the penny stock, right? And I should have just nailed it, right? I shouldn't have thought about it. That was the strategy. It popped up right on the top of the scanner. Literally, if you rewind the show, you could watch me. As soon as the show starts, it's at the top of the scanners here. And I go, man, I want to trade this. I hesitate for a slight second. It was already up to 450. So that's just how it is, guys. How it is. Looking to see if Boeing wants to just continue to leak all day. I'm riding that leak, pretty much watching that we don't get too many closes above the 9 EMA. We've had a couple of attempts back here, but it just keeps rejecting. That's good outlook. If I go to the 5-minute, I can see that we broke a support, right? We rejected it on the bounce. And now I'm just looking to see that we can continue to reject those bounces, like 175.35 here, and then break through 175. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, it's one of those going here and I'm watching the SPY just consolidating. I'm really looking at this RGTI, right? So it came right down to the 2-day VWAP, insane. And then now starting to bounce right back up to VWAP as well. And then trying to see if we get some rejection there, might actually take a short in the actual eval account. Palantir, again, just still not doing anything, just not really at the high, not really at the low. If I was more of a clever person, maybe you'd average in a little bit here. But again, keeping these rules incredibly simple. You have your entry, you have your stop loss, you have your profit target, and you just kind of walk away between those. Yeah, but the SPY looks like, at least for now, it's kind of bleeding off those highs. So probably a couple of people stepping in. Pretty simple short to take. You're shorting because you have a pretty defined area in the post market, this zone right here. So you can just play off this level and then take a short below that. If we get above, then it's time to go and just see maybe comes into VWAP or something like that.
Looks like a new name here, having a strong move here, guys. My scanner's catching it, and my scanners don't catch things often that are at $38. So I'll just bring it up here. Diginex Limited. Big kind of move here, and it looks like it's a brand new stock. So just keep it on watch there. It's by appointment only. I'll say that because the amount of volume that it's trading. But is it making a move? Yeah, for a new stock, it's good to put it on the radar. At least know it exists.
Yeah, this
IonQ did turn.
Continuing to move, and
Good call out there, Shockwave.
Yeah, we're getting a bit of a lift here in some of these more speculative names. We're doing it at the same time that we have support and resistance kind of happening in the overall market. We have this resistance that is putting a cap on us, but at the same time, we're getting a lot of these, like you mentioned, with some of these speculative names starting to pop. So it's very, very important, I think, to keep an eye on these individual sectors and see what's moving here, because the overall market's stuck, but we're getting a lot of this kind of under the hood is going very well.
I'll give you guys some of the outlook from the playbook today. I was looking for a firm on the upside. That's still holding the VWAP pretty well there. I think the market needs to continue strong for that to happen, but a firm, not a bad one to watch. Why am I looking at this? Well, as simple as this. If tariffs are going to come in anywhere, guess what? Products are going to be more expensive. Buy now, pay later will be more attractive. A simple thesis there. And then the chart looking like it could catch that drive back through Friday's high, 63.09. And I kind of like when they're just hanging out, as long as it's above the VWAP, right? And that's exactly what we're seeing here. Just a bunch of hanging out here sideways. And then we'll look to see if we get the move. But yeah, best stock, that MPC, man. Wow.
Yeah, crazy mover there. I mean, that one's like the candles always look like Heiken Ashes to me on MPC. It's like, is it going up or is it going down? Very trend based.
And then there's some smaller names moving off of this, right? It's not just what I like to look at is like, so is it the big boy oil stocks or is it also the smaller plays? They're all moving up. A lot of these smaller plays, CLNE, FRO, 10. You see how they're just kind of like straight moves up? That's what I call like an industry-wide, sector-wide move, right? Because essentially, if I'm just rolling through, is there red here?
Not really.
This is
Wow.
why we talk about the basket approach, right? I mean, at the end of the day, majority of these stocks, even if you had a system that just was trading these, right? I'm rolling through this. There's 280 names here, and I've still to see an ugly chart, right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
hey,
Well,
Yeah.
hey guys, you know, I'm on number 75 now.
it also goes to
Yeah.
show how good at this you get. You've just checked almost 100 charts in under a minute, you know, or 2
Here's the
minutes.
100th, the 100th chart, right? And so now you guys know why I also like this one pager, right? Because I can just hang out here and just kind of look through the market. Look at BP.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's a sign right there. That's something that's telling us, yeah. If there's something that could come into play with inflationary pressures, yeah, it's definitely oil, right? Almost 2% now. Technology taking another step up there. Looks like we just
Yeah.
got a rebuy. It looks like on the 524 for the Qs. We'll look
Yo,
to see if we can hold that now.
Archaea is shaping up really nicely here. Really nice relative strength today,
Yeah.
even while Tesla's been selling off all day. The top holding is dying, and this thing still is just coiling at the top of the range. As soon as Tesla catches, this thing could really rip.
Let's look
Tesla,
at what's leading there, right? You got Roku, Shop, you got Palantir, RXRX.
you
All
are
right. I
reading
may
my
need to
mind.
get this. This is TC 2000. How much is this thing?
You like it. You like it, right, Michael? You
It's
like
I
it.
no, and that's something because I do that manually a lot where I'm just, it's kind of how technicians do with top-down analysis, right? First you
Exactly,
look at
dude.
you look at the
Exactly that,
overall
guys.
sector and then you say what's in it. And I don't know, might save. How much do you
No,
cost?
and the truth is it's not necessarily so much even just maybe catching what moves, but it can tell you what certain trends are out there, right? Like we talk about that rotation's always ever present, right? And I think that that's so important. I
Mhm.
like how you could have here, and they call it the drill down tab. I've slightly adjusted it to include stocks here, not just industry and sector, right?
Yep.
So that it shows me, so that if I can go like technology and then click semiconductors, then I have all of them right there.
Mhm.
72 in the list. And what I also like is that TC's done these in equally weighted index. So like this SX 110, it's just an equally weighted index in
That's
technology. Because the truth is, I absolutely despise weighted ETFs. I can tell you guys that right off the top, because all they do is just trick the mind a lot of the
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
They just trick the mind, right? Because you're not understanding the holdings. The computers understand the holdings, but we don't, right? A lot of the times, like we can kind of understand it, like, yeah, these 10 stocks are running the ETF, but that's why it can be confusing at times. It could be that just one name's overall strength is keeping that ETF higher.
So
That's
does
why I
it
like
have-
the equally weighted basis.
I'm
So
staring at your screen here. So does it have so when you brought up ARC there, does it have the weightings of each?
that's where it struggles. It doesn't have the weightings, but it's
Oh,
gonna.
okay.
What I like to do is I'll just either go change from the open
Mhm.
or capitalization, right? Look at what's at the
Yeah.
top on that list, right? And then just start working through there. Another way to do it is look in the ETF and then just I have RSI right here, right?
Mhm.
So then I can just do it by RSI and then see what's strong, right? Meta, Roblox, Palantir,
Bucks. Oof.
Do they have
Tempest
crypto
AI is
yet?
interesting.
Yeah, that one's pulling back too. That's another thing holding it down.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Amazon, Shop. Look at that Shop move, man.
Boom. Beautiful.
Top of 545.
Pain. I feel it.
Hood, Pinterest, RXRX, an interesting one, especially if it's holding the move after the news that came out, right? So I would watch that one.
Dude, I'm telling you, Kathy's buying stuff that doesn't all suck nowadays. And it's kind of cool to see her buying Amazon and stuff, you know? And it's like,
Yeah.
wait, maybe I do want to own this. Maybe she was right about the tax harvesting stuff. Maybe people will move into this. I don't know.
All right, guys. I'll tell you what. I can't take the bet in the smaller account just because it's killing me. It's like literally like eating me alive. But I got to take a bet here on the downside move here. I got to go for it. I'm gonna do the VIX. Just because I hate the SQQQ. I can tell you guys, just statistically wise, I lose on it all the time.
Mhm.
So like with that being mentioned, I try to stay away from those leveraged names. The only reason I went for the SQQQ in the smaller account was because it's a $20,000 buying power, right? There wasn't much that I could short the overall Qs with there.
Yeah.
I would have been like 10 shares short, maybe something like that. So it wouldn't have done what I wanted to do. But here I'm looking to see that the VXX starts to come back here. What gave me the sign was Tesla's weakness. Tesla's weakness right now is really getting weak pretty fast here. And I have a feeling I'm going to look back and just be kicking myself on GM later in the day because it's already dropping fast. Boeing is giving me the money too. Look at Boeing now, guys. Now 174. So I'm almost to the point where I can at least get close to break even. I'll probably take that cash and see if the VIX puts me back into the green.
I'm watching this Q's candle. It looks like it's either going to be a save stick if they close it at the strongest, at the highest point of the candle, or it'll be a strong wick on high volume. But this is a lot of volume for the first 30 seconds of a 1 minute candle here.
Yeah, there's some bets being put on. I think that's what you're seeing there. And the volume pickup is something that you're trying to look at now. There's volume pickup right here. So the line of defense, right, is getting put up. All right, guys, it's 10:59. We got to get out of here, guys, but the market's going to keep trading. So I'll tell you what, if you're trying to keep trading, where should you be? Well, you should be in our Discord, of course. You guys see Tim in the chat all the time, bringing it up here and keeping us honest with our Jotes reaction there. So go over to the Discord, guys. Keep trading. There's no reason for you to stop right now. I'll tell you what, we're going to wrap up the day, but that doesn't mean that you need to wrap up the day, guys. Like always, keep trading, keep finding ways to find a community that truly supports yourself. That's why I tell you guys to go to the Discord. Tons of traders there trying to find success, trying to help each other find the moves. So I would get over there and not miss that out, right? Of course, I'll let Michael and Steve give some final words here. For me, gonna still stay in the fight, right, guys? One thing is for certain, just trying to stay in the fight, right? I can take hits, can't take a haymaker right now, right? I can't take that big punch right now because that's what's going to ruin the account, right? So still within a trade or two of getting it up there. Now, I won't say that I can get it in one trade, right? I'm going to look to see if I can get it in 2 trades, right? And then if it falls into one trade, so be it, right? We'll see what happens there. Today, a little bit of a turnaround here on certain stocks. We'll see if they're able to hold on the up move coming right back into play on the Qs there. Can they hold on? Find out, traders. Last words from you guys.
I'll just say, right, we got FOMC nonsense, or right, some guy is talking now, and then someone's talking again at 2.
Is barking?
Who is it?
I always laugh. I'll tell you right now. Bolsick. Bolsick. Yeah. He's more dovish than hawkish, I think. So we'll see what happens from him.
Yeah, so just check those out. Those are going to be your next market moving thing today, and then tomorrow we got more news. So if they don't say anything crazy, then we could just be hanging out here all day. So be careful with that. But who knows? These guys can come out. Sometimes they say something that just gives away all today's gains or doubles them. So who knows?
Yeah, like always, guys, we do have a Discord. You guys got to join up in it. If you guys don't have access to it, definitely take a look into it, guys, and get into it, guys. I got to grab an invite from Tim. I'll make sure Tim throws one up here in the chat for you, Shockwave, so that you can go ahead and jump in it. All right. So, Tim, you're out there. I know you hear me. Tim, knock, knock. All right, guys, we'll see you guys back tomorrow, guys. Like always, Michael Noss, Steve will keep battling. Hope you feel better, my friend. Hope the health is getting better. Many blessings to you, and keep battling. And we always enjoy to have you a part of here. Justy Trades, if you guys don't have him on Twitter, you're missing out. Give a good follow. Hit my man up in between Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursday. Hit him up. Tell him what are you looking at. I'm sure he would love to see some of those comments. Take care, guys. We'll be back tomorrow. Stay safe out there, traders.
See ya.
Bye.
Let's go. And I would just 1 second here, guys. Outro button got changed up there. There you go.